child should learn how to swim, for health, for safety, and for fun. That's why we've started Canada's Swim Team. Learn to swim at least 25 meters on your own, and you're on the team. Canada's Swim Team. It's that easy. Help make us the world's largest swim team by adding your name at getswimming.ca. Ask your parents first. Swimming, the only sport that can save your life.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
Good evening and welcome to Acumen Stadium on the campus of St. Clair College, the site of OFC football. The St. Clair Saints set to do battle with the Quinte Skyhawks, week number 1 of the OFC schedule. Hello everybody, my name is Dominic Papa and glad to have you along for the ride here this evening as we get back into another exciting year of St. Clair football. It's now the Saints. The name Fratman is officially gone. The St. Clair Saints College has purchased the team. It is now the Saints, but I'm going to try my best not to call them the Fratmen, but boy, oh boy, talk about a lot of history in those Fratman years, and it's a new chapter here now.
Absolutely. I played here 4 years. I coached here a decade, and I've been calling the games now for almost 10 years, I think. So for me as well to try to transition from saying great play by the Frat, I'm going to have to say the Saints. So I apologize in advance, but it is a transition, but it's an exciting transition because now the roots are going to be established for years to come because the college has invested in the program, and this program is going to be the standard by which every team in the entire country is going to be measured against.
Well, I'll forewarn you, Bede, we got a little shocker on your seat. Every time you call them the Fratmen, you're going to get zapped. So, no, we'll have some fun with it. But, yeah, a new chapter. So the history continues, though, with the Saints. Exciting. I mean, you look at last year, of course, that championship game still stands out in everyone's mind, Bede. I think the best thing right now is just put it behind you, and you know, it's a new year.
100%. And I know there was some players back. I watched your broadcast with the Saints Report, and I know some of the players are itching, but there is 60% new, so they don't even know about last year. So clean the slate right now. Everything's brand new to a lot of these players. New season, new chapter, new name. Go.
On the flip side, you got the Quinte Skyhawks here tonight, entering their second season in the OFC. I thought it was an extremely successful campaign for them. They made the playoffs. You saw some growth in them, and I think they're looking to grow that much more this year.
Yeah, Coach Gabriel said something that I found probably the most important thing for his young program. Last year they lacked depth. This year they're coming in with more depth at positions. And the one thing I will say as a coach of 25 years, you cannot find a diamond in the rough without the depth. When you only have 7 offensive linemen, it is what you got. But if you have 12 of them and then all of a sudden somebody goes down and then next thing you know you realize, oh, this kid is a little better than I thought because they're getting more reps. The diamonds in the rough are going to define Quinte for years to come now that they've added some of the depth. Are they going to be more competitive? Yes. Is it a tall task? Absolutely, because the Saints are the top team in the conference right now.
Last year, of course, these two teams met 3 times, twice during the regular season, once in the playoffs. Let's take a look at those numbers and how it all looked. Of course, the Hawks ended up 2-6 last year. They did get into the playoffs. The Saints were a perfect 8-0. They met at Quinte, the Saints winning big there. And then, of course, they came back here. The Saints, again, put up 60 there. In the playoffs, again, I think it was just all the experience of the Saints / Fratman last year that really was the difference between the two teams. That might be a little bit different this year. So I don't know if it's going to be that dominant this year for the Saints.
Yeah, Coach LaChance said it was hard to prepare for this because they don't know what they're going to get. It is a new team coming in. If you're Quinte, you're going to watch film from the last couple of years because the Saints have been established. Their coaches are there. Their offensive systems and schemes are going to be quite similar year in, year out. The personnel might change, but they're a little established. Quinte was working through their team last year, and this year they're going to work through with more depth. I expect them to be better. I expect them to be more competitive, and I think that's a great thing for the league. If you get that Belleville area locked up with some good football, trust me, the community will rally behind them, and before you know it, the conference gets stronger, and then a national champion can come out of the OFC one time soon.
Yeah, it's been a while for that to happen, that's for sure. But let's talk about the Saints quickly if we can, Biddy. I'm sure you've talked to Coach LaChance. He's really pumped up. This is a new chapter for him as well, Coach Morency. What are your thoughts, and what do you feel is going on with the team? And from what I'm understanding, Biddy, it's going to be a year that they're going to have to grow. There's going to be some bumps along the way. Some of these new guys, as you alluded to, are going to have to get some of that experience under the belt. They expect this team to be much different by the end of the schedule than what it is here starting right now.
Yeah, the word I'm going to key on, you said grow. Well, they've grown because they are huge. I walked around and I looked at their D-line and I looked at their linebacking crew and I looked at their offensive line. They are monstrous. Their offensive line is going to average upwards of 330 pounds this year, and that's 6, 7, 8 deep at that size. So in terms of the growth physically, they look a lot more imposing this year than they've had probably in the last 15, 20 years that I can recall. That being said, with 60% turnover in new bodies, you're going to have to go through some growing pains. You're going to have to find out who the guys you can really rely on, who the playmakers are, and who your steady guys, those role guys who are going to excel on the special teams. They're not going to know that probably until after that back-to-back London session they have in a few weeks, because London's going to be the true measuring stick back-to-back weeks, and then you'll see them hopefully excel and peak for that season finale against the GTA.
One thing that's going to be really interesting to watch this year as well with the Saints is the quarterback position again. And this has been not such a strange thing for Coach LaChance, where he's gone with 2, maybe even 3 quarterbacks, and that's the case this year. There's no one that has really solidified as being the number 1 quarterback right now.
Yeah, unlike last year where they brought in the prize recruit and Michael Beal took over and had a phenomenal season, led them, was all Canadian. This year they're going to rely on some experience from Mayu, but they got a couple rookies, a couple young people here. And like you said, there's 3 bodies, and all of them could see time today. And the reality of it is, if you have 3 bodies and all of them bring a different skill set, you can marry your offense to their skill sets and then evolve to find out which one is the true fit, or possibly use multi-quarterback systems as the season progresses.
And from what I understand, again, I've tried to do my homework, and the running game may be very prominent this year for the Saints.
Yeah, I spoke to Coach McCurdy, and right now he has a stable. And they have 1A, 1B, 1C. They're all ones, and they have so many. The key is going to be which ones are going to do the little things. And by little things, I mean who's going to be the protectors, who's going to make the right blocking assignment so the quarterback doesn't get killed. They can all run the ball, but which ones are going to pick up the blitzes, which ones are going to be the assigned players to make those key calls if there's a hot route or if they have to pick up a blitz, those are the ones that we're going to have to figure out and the coaches are going to have to figure out, because they're the ones who are going to end on the field by the season's end.
We're just moments away from the kickoff, week number 1 of the OFC schedule here. It's the St. Clair Saints set to do battle with the Quinte Skyhawks. You mentioned the league on a whole, Biddy. I want to get one quick comment from you on that. Ottawa's back in, which is really good news for the league. They have to be a strong franchise for the OFC to be a good league. We hope and wish them luck for sure up there. I know they've already made a coaching change there after last week, so hopefully they get the ship going in the right direction there. But pretty exciting that some of these teams are really starting to come together again, and just hopefully the league becomes that much more competitive.
Yeah, you got the two establishment coaches. You got Coach Hayes in Hamilton. You got Coach LaChance here with the Saints. Those two programs are going to have that stability from the coaching staff. But, yes, you got turnover in London. You got turnover in Ottawa. They're welcome back, and, yes, you need that team to be strong. You got a young coaching staff, their second year here with Quinte. And hopefully GTA brings a little something to the equation here. And, of course, London's always going to be strong. But the only way the OFC is going to actually be competitive at the national level is if the Saints can't run through a regular season. You have to have a competitive season. You can be 8-0. But you can't average win by 40 points a game, and the competition isn't as strong. They need to have full-out competition with 3, 4, 5 teams, and hopefully Ottawa brings that. Hopefully London keeps up, and Hamilton's probably going to be their stiffest competition, at least early on, with the established coaches there.
You jacked, or I sense like you look like you're almost ready to play again.
Yeah, I wish I could. I'd get one play, and then my whole body would collapse. But the bottom line is I'm excited for football. It is a fall weather day here in Windsor, even though it's the summer, and it really, really is a great atmosphere to play and to view if you're a fan, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a great day for football here, no question about it. They're set to play the national anthem, so we're going to chime into that when we come back. It's the opening kickoff. Justin Prince and Benita Quas will have the call for you. You're watching OFC Football on We Digital Productions.
And we welcome you to Acumen Stadium for tonight's coverage of OFC football. It's opening week in the OFC, and we're happy to have you with us here on We Digital. My name's Justin Prince. Alongside me now is Benita Quas as we get ready for tonight's matchup between the St. Clair Saints and the Quinte Skyhawks. The atmosphere is electric, to say the very least, to begin the brand new season. Lots to be determined starting off tonight. But both of these teams ready to kick things off 2022 style.
Yeah, Justin, it's great to be back with you up here in the booth. Gorgeous day today. A fresh slate for both teams. Quinte coming off their inaugural season last year. The Saints in their new franchise starting a new season as the Saints rather than the Frat. And a fresh start for all these players. Looking forward to the game today.
As seen with your officials, your referee Alex Jimmy with Chris Patton, Brent Webster, Corey Cousins, Kirk Hayes, and Bruce Carter, tonight's crew here for this matchup. St. Clair has elected to defer to the second half, so they will kick things off to Quinte to begin the brand new season. 21 degrees Celsius, cloudy skies. We're all set to go. We're underway from the Rose City. Return for about the 20-yard line to start things off for the first return of the season. Brought down to about the 33-yard line. And a quick rush forward in turn. That is Jack Kelly, who starts off the season with the first return.
Yeah, and that was maybe a big tackle for McClellan. He made that saving tackle for St. Clair, or else the return man might have had an entire sideline, the near sideline here, so that was a good open field tackle. Yet Quinte is going to have half-decent starting field position at the 34-yard line.
And today, We'll see a new quarterback amongst that starting lineup compared to last season. They have brought Brody Fairburn to the starting lineup to start things off with a brand new campaign. They'll start things off with the rush, hand off to the veteran Adam Miskowitz. Miskowitz able to get a gain of a couple yards to start things off on the ground.
Yeah, good opening run. You know what? It's so important to get positive yards, and you'll see how on the replay. A little read option from the quarterback. He's going to put it right in the belly of the running back, and he's going to make the decision. And this time he gives it up because that was the right read. The defensive end held his line, and they pick up almost a full 5 yards, making it second and manageable.
Second and about 5. Ball set up at about the 37-yard line. Looking to pass on second down. Brought down hard for the sack. And the ball may have dropped down. No, they're waving it incomplete.
Well. It is an incomplete pass, Justin, but wow, that was a big hit right off the get-go. And that was Tynan Braymiller, who came in and he absolutely made a perfect tackle. Led with the shoulder, with the arm across the chest, and the quarterback's arm looked like it was moving forward slightly. Good thing he's a left-handed quarterback because that's what forced an incompletion. But Coach TJ Oucher told me, look out for number 4 because this guy knows one speed only, and we only had to wait 2 plays to see it, and that was exactly what we wanted to see, that energy. And I can say this from experience, that's how his coach TJ played, and that's exactly what he wants to see. Great start for the defense.
So right now, St. Clair setting up for their first return of the evening. The return men for this season, setting things up. Dante Lewis, Christian Rutherford. This one, a bit of a muffled punt to start things off, bouncing its way to Dante Lewis. Steps out of bounds just past the 29, making it around the near 28-yard line. And now bring forward a new quarterback for St. Clair for this program. It is Andrew Brush, who is amongst those to watch for. And that starting lineup at the number 3 number, he is someone from the University of Windsor Lancers' program.
Yeah, he transferred over here. He's now a student here at the college, and they are expecting big things. Coach LaShawn says he's a big boy, 6'4", 220, has a big arm. We're looking forward to see him evolve here for the Saints.
1st and 10, ball snapped around the 29-yard line. Handing things off to the starting back, Keon Vokes. Vokes trying to find a little bit of space, able to gain a couple yards, make it second and about medium.
Yeah, you'll see on the replay, they're just going to run a simple stretch play. Hand it off, get him to the left side. There was a little bit of penetration early, which forced Vokes to bounce, but there was actually some good push inside on that, so that's a good sign for the offensive line, a big offensive line, and as you said, picked up 5 yards, so making it second down and 5.
Keep in mind, in the offseason, St. Clair picking up plenty of size of the offensive line, worth noting, amongst its new coming class. First pass of the season complete. Enough for a first down by a couple yards. Shuffling on forward on the reception, Michael Ryan.
A simple pass, simple play, a little timing out to the short side of the field. You'll see the quarterback set his feet, and he gets it out on time. The only person who's going to make a play on that is his receiver. Very smart, safe throw. When talking to Coach LaChance, he said that's one of his best throws. Nice to see him throw it and complete it early.
So that makes it 1st and 10 to the 41-yard line, just approaching 3 minutes into the first quarter already here in Windsor. St. Clair taking on Quinte. Vokes on the ground, cutting left, trying to break through a couple tackles. Gets brought down at about the 49-yard line to make it second and short.
Yeah, and that's some real early success. You can see black jerseys are going backwards in that view. A couple pancake blocks right off the get-go. That is exactly what Coach Rice wants to see from his offensive line. If you see them push forward, I know Coach Rice and Coach Gannett said they got some big bodies, but they need time to gel. If they can get that kind of push, it's going to be a long evening for Quinte.
2nd and 3. 3 receivers in the motion. Looking to pass his Brush. Brush with some time, overthrows his man, incomplete. That time the intended target, NC Yayut.
Half decent protection. Quarterback is tall enough where he can see over his big bodies, but he did overshoot his guy. He had him up the seam, but it was a real tight window. so the incompletion just forces a punt. But you got a couple first downs on that opening possession. You move to midfield. Maybe you can pin them deep. It's a good exchange for the Saints, but Quinte must be real happy coming off last year getting drummed by an average of 60 points in 3 games to get them off the field and still be 0-0 4.5 minutes into the game.
Technically, it's more around the 50s with the 47, but that doesn't add to that. Either way, punt return for about the 20-yard line. Brought down quickly at about the 24. Matt McDonald on the return this time. The tackle quickly brought about by the Saints. Nick Trifon amongst the rush this time.
Yeah, a little bit of a high snap, but a great kick. It gets a perfect spiral. You kick it outside the numbers, or outside the hash marks to the numbers, which is perfect. It allows your coverage to pin the man deep. They get instant pressure, and as you said, Trifon makes a great tackle. They pick up maybe 2 yards on the return.
So after gaining 5 total yards the last drive, as quick whistle. And it looks like one major adjustment having to come in towards the sideline. They have to make a substitution for the players before they snap on here.
Yeah, my guess, Justin, is it's an equipment issue. He can't have his back plate exposed, so he has to pull it back. So the referee says, no, you have a back protector. It's allowed, but you can't have that back plate exposed. Tuck your jersey over it. Get off the field until you do so, young man.
Clock rolling. 11 minutes to go in the first quarter. Starting things off on the drive on the ground. And quickly brought down for a loss of a couple.
Yeah, what a great job. Octavian Finea was in the middle there creating a big pile, and he just worked all his weight through his offensive lineman and made the tackle for a 2-yard loss.
That's going to already put things towards another passing down. After the adventure of the first attempt, Fairburn looking to improve on the second attempt, potentially from the air here. Looking for to avoid pressure, gets swatted down instead, incomplete.
Yeah, Coach Morency dialing up some pressure. That's the all-conference corner, Billy Patterson Jr., number 2, who came in off the edge, gets his hands up. Bats it down. Quarterback can't do anything when he has that much immediate pressure. So now it's punt time, which the there's mistake number 1. The Saint defense holds, and hopefully they can get some good field position out of this to start their second drive.
Of course, that's one of the major storylines of the offseason, St. Clair and its college, of course. Ending up now managing the rights to the football club. 3rd and 13. See what Quinte elects to do here. They elect to try and punt it out of the pressure and sky it. Skied up to about the 42-yard line. Bounces out of bounds at about the 42. And great field position for St. Clair.
A ton of pressure. They're lucky they got this off. That's Quinte. That could have been a block, and it could have been a easy score on the other end. But the kick got off, rushed. At least he got it off. And the Saints start off, like you said, at the 42 with great field position for their second possession.
Brandon Swain, the kicker punter for Quinte. So marked out the 42-yard line, 9:35 to go in the first quarter. One receiver sent in the motion. Looking to Vokes on first down yet again. Quick cut left. Quick tackle for a gain of about 5.
Yeah, that inside zone, Justin, is working out real well. They got some great push inside there. You can see the double teams, and it created a huge seam. That is so much running room for the running back. I mean, I'm guessing it's 3-down territory from here, so they might as well try to run it again right up the middle. But that is good surge from the offensive lineman. With a new center there, they had to replace Jennings, who was an all-conference, all-Canadian center, and they've replaced him with Alvin O'Brien, and he's doing a good job to start the game, settling up this young yet new offensive line. Excuse me, it's number 50, and that is Simeon Keck.
And a timeout called by Quinte. The first timeout for either side in this matchup. At 8:58 to go in the first quarter. And you take a look at the discussions right now so far. Defensive matchup And one of the major things mentioned when talking with Coach Mike Morency, in fact, before tonight, the defensive coordinator for the Saints, he mentioned the one thing when asked what his thoughts are on how the team was looking this year is, ask me in a couple weeks. It takes time to realize how this team could fare out for this season.
Yeah, when you have 60%, 65% new players, you're going to take time to figure out who those new players are and where they fit on the field for you.
And now setting things up for 2nd and 4. Brush looking to throw over the top. Lewis trying to go for one-handed, can't get it. And another incompletion. And a flag is down at about the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and he just overshot Dante Lewis. That was a great route. He broke him and then stemmed him out, that little sluggo. Come inside and then work your way up for that slot
Roughing
fade.
the passer.
And we do
Number
have roughing the
99.
passer.
Defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, and Alex Jemmy, who just indicated a roughing the passer, which is going to be a 15-yard walk-off, and it's going to reset the sticks for them, Justin. And that's a break for St. Clair, considering that was incomplete, and they would have been in a situation where they would have to go for it on 3rd down, because I think they're in transition with their kicking game, losing their all-conference kicker from last year.
Indeed, their kicker this season, Preston Knight, for reference for the Saints. 1st and 10 now at the 21. Brush looking to pass again. This time looking end zone. Overthrown. Jared Hayes-Williams, the intended target. And that'll make it 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that big arm needs to be more on display on a throw like that, in the sense of that has to be a line shot on the back corner fade. He tried to throw it with touch. No, that needs to be right on his back shoulder and right at that front cone, because Hayes can turn around and catch it on that, but if he had to jump and fly, there's just not enough room for him. So a little bit overshot there, but he's growing. It's his first real game action in some time. Give him some time to grow.
5 wide receivers set. Empty backfield with the Vokes motion. Quickly going on the bubble, Lewis. Lewis not able to poach his way through the bubble. Gains maybe 1 or 2, and that's all.
Excellent pursuit by Quinte. They all rallied to the ball. The blockers got out there, but they did not quit. And you see, 4 or 5 black jerseys right there to limit that to maybe a half-yard gain. And looks like it's bringing out, there's some indecision here. I see one quarterback off, another quarterback on. So I'm guessing it's the field goal unit here trying to get some points on the board early. But I still don't see a kicker out on the field right now. All right, so it looks like they have some offensive personnel.
And looks like they're still trying to sort each other out here.
Yeah.
And now it looks like they might take the time, yes. Timeout is called. So now they are trying to sort that out.
And these are some of the growing pains early in the season. Last year they would have had no hesitation, bring out your kicker, kick it through the uprights and move on. As we see the standings from last year, the Frat, who are now the Saints, were 8-0 last year. Unfortunately, we were here calling that final, Justin. Mm-hmm. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was one of the most dramatic final few minutes you could ever see, where you have that advantage of about more than a possession. And then you have it just squander away.
Yeah, and when I say heartbreak for the Frat/Saint fans,
yeah.
It was jubilation for the visiting Beefeaters.
So the field goal unit is now out. It's Preston Knight, the kicker. To hold this time is the backup quarterback in Matthew Gannett. No good is the field goal return from the end zone. Return across the 10, brought down at about the 13-yard line.
All right, so an early decision by Coach Gabriel, not opting to give up the single. Again, the kick seemed to be just a low boot miss. He just missed the ball, pretty much hit it on the side. Not a very good effort. The snap and the hold seemed to be okay. However, the ball is going to advance to the 20-yard line on a missed field goal, so they're going to move it up to the 20. I probably would have rather seen them concede the single there. Get to the 35-yard line. Take every yard you can get. This Saint defense is stingy. they're not going to give you anything. So if you can get 15 yards off a single point, you might as well take it. Because if you don't gain a yard here, you're giving the Saints good field position again.
1st and 10 at the 13-yard line. Quinte looking to start something on offense, looking to pass. Quick completion for the first time. This time it's McDonald on the reception. And McDonald, one of the wide receivers who was one of their key new acquisitions from Queens University.
Yeah, and for the first time, the quarterback had a little bit of time to throw, and he threw it on the money. However, the coverage was outstanding. Billy Patterson Jr. was right there in coverage, step for step, only a 3.5, 4-yard gain.
So 2nd and about medium. Looking to pass yet again. This time going for the screen, trying to find some space, not able to find it. It's Brock Lever this time on the reception. And that makes it 3rd and still long.
Great play by Josh Allen. He diagnosed that right away, said, okay, they're going to throw the swing. And he was right there in the flat, picking it up, negating any kind of possible break tackle, wrapped up his legs. They lost 3 yards there. Now they got a punt. And this was one of those situations where I was concerned for Quinte in that they haven't had very good punts so far in the game. And if they don't get a good punt off here, you're going to see the Saints set up pretty close to midfield or even on the plus side in Quinte territory.
So Brandon Swain, once again, the 6'3" kicker punter, looking to try and avoid the pressure from the last time. To return men back for St. Clair. This time, lots of space to work with. And it's a low punt to Dante Lewis off the bounce. And there's the no yards flag.
Yeah, and that's something that I believe they are changing. And I got to get confirmation on it from it, but that's going to be the 15-yard violation because the ball did not bounce, Justin. He caught it in the air. But I'll have to check with the referees at the half. I thought that was one of the new possible rule changes, that it's going to be a 15-yard penalty regardless of whether you're not in that neutral zone. But that was clearly caught in the air anyway. So you're going to see 15 yards from the spot of the catch and move up. So you're going to get the Saints probably, I would say, close to the 35-yard line, maybe inside the 35-yard line. Here's the call.
4-8, okay. No yards, 15-yard penalty against the kicking team, number 48. First down.
So indeed, the no yards penalty coming in. That marks it to the 31-yard line. Some of the best field position St. Clair has had so far outside of that 1-2 snaps from the 20. This time, starting things off, nowhere to go on the rush.
And that was a big man in the middle. Maverick McBride, you're going to see number 79 knife through and make the initial contact. And then it was cleaned up by number 77. And that looks like it's Mackenzie Dunford on the final tackle. But that was great pressure from the defensive line of Quinte, resulting in a tackle for a loss.
So 2nd and 11. Ball placed at the 32-yard line, approaching 5 minutes to go in the first quarter of play. Rush looking to pass yet again to his right. This time, Hayes Williams gets it. Good enough for the first down. And just shy of the 20.
Yeah, so if he's just shy, the sticks look like they're about at the 21, so it might be a 3rd and short. But it was good catch. That ball was down and away a little bit, so it looks like it's going to be 3rd and short.
Yes.
Again, Coach Ashant's told me that that's one of quarterback's better throws. He likes to do that. Andrew Brush throws that out pretty good. If that one was just up a little bit more, Hayes Williams probably could have quick turned and got the first down, but they're 3rd and short nonetheless.
QB sneak formation set up by Brush. Brush trying to push ahead. We'll see where they mark this, as it is close, and yes, indeed, the push is good. It's a first down.
Yeah, Justin, I don't think that was as close as it looked, because Brush is a big boy, and he kept churning his feet. It looked like he got well inside the 20-yard line. They are marking it at the 20. They only needed to get to the 21, so they picked up a full yard and a half on that. Bottom line is it's Canada. They give you a 1-yard neutral zone. You better get that every single time you have that opportunity.
First and 10 at the 20-yard line. 4 wide receivers set. Looking to pass his Brush. Over top the traffic again. Again targeting Lewis. Again no good.
Yeah, this time here, I actually might put this more on Dante Lewis. I think Andrew Brush threw that to the spot where he needed to. It looked like the safety was curling high over the top of that. So Dante needed to fade that out a little bit more in order to avoid any kind of either big hit or break on the ball for an interception. So I can't really tell if that was the case, but safer to make sure it's incomplete rather than force one in and get picked off in the end zone.
So 2nd and 10. Approaching 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. Brush looking to pass yet again. Again, open pocket again. End zone, caught! Touchdown! No, waved off.
Yeah, I actually thought that was the case. His foot came down. It was in the white. If we get that good camera angle, you'll see his one foot come down, and it does look like it came down in the white first. And it's right on that. His toe was on the white. Looked like it from my angle, and that confirmed it. I didn't see any green between the white shoe and the white sideline. So that did look like the right call in live time and even on that replay. We can't zoom in to see if there was a blade of grass there, but I did not see any green between the white tape, white shoe, and the sideline, so I think that was the right call.
So that brings out the special teams unit for the second time, and we've already seen one miss so far from Knight. See if Knight can try and go 1 for 2. Gannett the hold. Good spot, good hold, and it is good. So St. Clair is on the board for the first time tonight. It's 3-0.
Yeah, and all in all, I think that's a win for Quinte. You got a team, like you said, in the 40s is the discrepancy over the 3 games last year. And right now, 10, 12 minutes into this game, they're down 3-0. That's great team play. The defense was holding their own. And again, Coach LaShawn said they have to figure it out. They have to learn their offense and their playmakers. You lose an all-Canadian quarterback, all-Canadian running back, all-Canadian receiver, all-Canadian center. Hard to replace all that as we see the schedule.
Yes, indeed. And, of course, we talked about some of the critical matchups coming up. In particular, this is with Quinte specifically. You see St. Clair, they're hosting in a couple weeks. London coming up. Hamilton in the early going. Lots of heavy hitters in the early schedule for Quinte, who currently have the ball to start things off and currently losing ground almost immediately. St. Clair has it in their grasp. We'll see.
Yes, it was a fumble. That was Kenyon Grattan and Tynan Braymiller, who converged on the running back, who instantly, as soon as he got the ball, he had no choice. He was hit, sandwiched, forcing the fumble, and the Saints have recovered that. And just as soon as I say they're in the game and the defense has done a great job, their offense compromises their defense, and now the Saints are going to be set up at the 30-yard line with great field position again. Let's see if they can pay this one off. As the first turnover of the game, it might end up being consequential early on in this matchup.
Ball spotted at the 30-yard line, approaching the 3-minute mark in the first. Brush again looking to pass. Looking up the middle, complete Lewis. Lewis gets a huge block to the end zone, and a flag pops up. Touchdown signaled. But there is a flag, as mentioned, after the huge block that opened up the space for Lewis.
Yeah, and I think you're going to get what they're going to deem that blindside block. They've changed the rules quite a bit. You can't come from outside in and hit what is deemed a defenseless player. They ran the dig route. We're going to get the official call from Alex Jemmy, but if we see it on the replay, I might be able to explain it a little more clearly for our audience. Here's the call.
After the first down, we have objectionable conduct. Number 81 on the offense. First down.
Okay, so it was objectionable conduct, so it might have been more of a taunt. Let's see it on the replay. Okay, so that was the play, but he stood over him and he said something to him. So there's what it was. The objectionable conduct came when 81 stood there and taunted him, like after the hit. It was a big hit. So there, it wasn't to the head. He wasn't one of those situations where he blindsided him, if you will, but he stood over him and taunted him. It negates the touchdown. First down yardage was gained. At that spot of the flag, they'll back it up the 10 yards, and now the Saints will be set at 1st and 10 at around it looks like going to be about the 28 or 29-yard line.
Just about exactly where they were prior to that pass. As Coach LaChanze looking for a clarification, it looks like.
Yeah, Coach LaChanze is wanting clarification. He wanted to know if it was an illegal block, and that's the case. It was not an illegal block, but the touchdown hadn't been established, but the first down. Now, on a positive note, I will say this. Coach LaChanze said that Brush does throw that dig route, that square-in route pretty well. The offensive line gave the quarterback good time there. He saw it. The dig came across, and that's your playmaker, Dante Lewis, and you saw him in the open field. He made a guy miss and found pay dirt. So that's where they're going to have to take a look at this and explain, okay, you made the block, but that's part of your job. You don't have to belittle another player or anything like that. First game of the year, maybe a little too excited, but we're going to eventually see where the spot comes in. So now they look like they have it marked at the 15. So the ball was probably then at around the 5-yard line is what they're saying when the flag came out for the taunt.
So that is now the best field position St. Clair has had tonight. The Saints. The clarification is coming in. Penalty was occurred around the 5, so they move back to the 15 is the official ruling. Brush, first down, looking to step up in the pocket, has open space, jukes to the left to the end zone, touchdown, St. Clair.
And that's a pocket presence from the quarterback. Your receivers aren't there. Your first route isn't there. You don't panic and go outside. You step up into the pocket here, and you get Andrew Brush who steps up. So you'll see the replay here. The pressure comes outside. So step up into the pocket. He found a running seam, tucked it, made a decisive play, got a good block from the person who just got the penalty, number 81, and let's get a name for you on that, and that's Michael Ryan. So Michael Ryan makes up for the penalty by making the key block to let Andrew Brush find the end zone and pay off that turnover.
And meanwhile, as the celebration goes on the sideline, there is nobody there to hold the ball for the extra point.
Okay, and that's part of the mechanism you have to have. And they were lucky to get that off because the play clock was winding down almost 0. Fortunately, they had that. And maybe I'll give the quarterback, Matt Gannett, a little bit of reprieve. He was probably celebrating with his other quarterbacks because the quarterback rooms are usually pretty close-knit, and they see one of their teammates make the touchdown, so they're celebrating. So we have a flag on the play here. So we'll see if they have to re-kick or if it's going to be on the... They'll likely have to re-kick if it's against the Saints.
Legal substitution on the kicking team. We'll retry the convert and apply the penalty on the kickoff.
All right, so to explain that, we had an illegal substitution, so the gates must have been closed when Matt Gannett came on the field, which means he couldn't report eligibly.
Yeah.
Either way, they're going to re-kick from the same spot, but they'll enforce the penalty on the kickoff, so the Saints will have to kick 10 yards back on the ensuing kickoff, but they'll try the point again because they have to try it again. They can't just leave the point on.
And they'll replace the ball real quickly as well before they go for this extra point attempt this time.
And just to also add, like the mechanics are, it's Nick Brankovic who's the snapper, and you have Gannett who's the holder, and those things have to come across as they made the extra point here, but those things need reps. They're new. Neither one of them did that last year. This is their first game action together doing that with a new kicker, so you have to have that. So we're going to see here the St. Clair schedule.
Yes, indeed. We mentioned some of the pressure buildup for that sequence against London, September the 3rd and September the 10th specifically. That's going to be a major star next to those two games in particular. And don't forget, Hamilton coming in next time out too.
Yeah, you can never overlook Hamilton. And I got an early report that London was up 33-7 against Ottawa at some point, and I'm just getting an update now. It looks like the lead has expanded a little bit, so London's firing on all cylinders after winning the conference championship last year and welcoming Ottawa back to the league. And the latest update is 42-13, and I believe that game is in Ottawa right now. So there's a minute left, and looks like the Beefeaters are going to find themselves on the plus side with a start. And you'll see the kick here is 10 yards back. They're not kicking at the 45, they're kicking at the 35 because that illegal substitution.
So all set is Knight for the kick. Back to return is Kelly from about the 20-yard line. Getting some blocks at about the 35. Absolutely knocked down at that mark.
That's Tynan Braymiller again, number 4. My goodness. Like you'll see on the replay here, and you'll catch it from the left of our camera angle here. The return's going to come. He's going to put his foot in the ground and go up the field, but you'll see number 4 just get his arm across the shoulders and bring him down. That's a big man moving down the field at 6'3", 235, and to sort of arm bar the return man. Coach Oucher did tell me this guy's got one gear, and on is it, and it is clearly on early.
1st and 10 to the 35-yard line, setting things up. Fairburn hands it off this time and fumble the ball again. St. Clair picks it up yet again on the fumble.
Josh Allen, I believe, got his left hand in there, at least from my first view, and just swatted at that ball, resulting in the fumble. We'll see here if we can pick it up on the replay as you get that inside run. And it wasn't indeed Allen, and it wasn't his arm, it was his hat. He put his hat right on the ball, and he absolutely lodged it out. And they, again, a turnover, another turnover, and the Saints are set up deep in Quinte territory to try to get 17. If they get to 17, we're back to where we sort of were last year, where it's a big lead early.
Started off defensive, and now the defense really stepping up for St. Clair, setting up some Saints drives. Brush, 1st down, looking to fire deep, single man coverage caught. Is it complete? Yes, it is. Touchdown, St. Clair. Yayuk this time.
Yeah, and that was a nice little throw and catch. It looked like it was called right from the sideline. 1st down, they see man, and they see a receiver who has a little bit of speed to get over the top. Enzi does a little bit of shake and bake at the line of scrimmage, gets an outside release, and you'll see him just go by him right up the numbers, and this dropped right in the bucket, right over the shoulder, and for a smaller receiver, he went up and got it, Justin. And that was a good throw, a great catch, outstanding turnover by the defense, resulting in a touchdown. They get the extra point. And here we go, 17-0, and we're still in the first quarter after I thought Quinte started off very well, Justin.
Yeah, I was about to say, Quinte started off really strong defensively, and now things starting to build up from some of the mistakes, absolutely.
And in the Saints sports report this year, Dominic had Coach Gabriel with him. And he did say, like, one of the things that plagued them last year was the turnovers. The team that turns the ball over more loses. We all know that. That's very cliche. But this is, like, a little bit excessive early on when you get those immediate hard-hit fumbles. All you do early on in camp is ball protection drills. You got to emphasize that with your ball carriers. Guys, we need the ball protected. We can punt. We can stay in the game. We can make some plays, but we can't give the opponent short fields. And they've done it twice, and now the Saints have capitalized both times on it, extending the lead.
So Knight will now look to kick it back away. 17-0 again the score. 2:22 to go in the first quarter. St. Clair has scored 14 unanswered in the past about a minute and a half. This time the ball rolls out of bounds. That draws the flag. So that will mean some solid field position to start things off for Quinte at least this drive.
Yeah, well, Knight was set up for a tiny little angled pooch kick, but he hit it too low, it looked like, and it didn't have a chance to take a favorable bounce. It skidded, and it rolled out of bounds, and that is an illegal procedure, and that's going to result in the ball at the 40-yard line.
Illegal procedure on the kicking team. The penalty will spot the ball.
So after
40-yard line,
back-to-back fumbles, Quinte looking to try and hold on to the ball here. Verburn sets up with Misowich as the back. This time looking to pass, quickly throwing it all the way to the sideline, out of bounds, incomplete.
Yeah, serious miscommunication with quarterback and receiver. Receiver thought it was a stop route, quarterback threw the go. And you'll see Fairbairn, he's looking, he goes over the top, yet you'll see in our screen, the receiver read that the corner stayed high and broke it off. So you have some sort of miscommunication. I'm going to err on the side of that. Looked like the receiver made the right decision because Billy Patterson stayed high and above. You got to throw that underneath rather than stretch the field because you're never going to get that pass completed.
So second down, 3 in the motion this time. Looking to pass this time. Lots of pressure and another sack.
That is Octavian Finea again with the pressure. He just recovered the fumble that Josh Allen created last defensive series. This time he just got in there and they brought a ton of heat. But when you get a guy that big who pretty much came untouched and the pressure high from the outside, quarterback had no choice. They're just lucky they didn't fumble there.
So now, with it being 3rd and 14 at the 36, special teams unit coming out once again for Quinte. And so far, the punts have been a bit of an adventure, to be quite honest, so far. How will this adventure go this time? Nice and calm, as it's returned this time for about the 43-yard line. Tristan Rutherford brings it to the side, and a late flag pops out at about the 45.
All right, a decent kick, good return. Picked up about 12, 13 yards on the return. We'll just have to determine more times than not you're looking at a hold on the return team, so we'll see if this has to back up, and it does look like they're moving in that direction. Here's the call from head referee Alex Jemmy.
Illegal block, pushing the rear on the return team, number 45. It's a 10-yard penalty, first down.
And it looks like they called it 45. London Dawson was called on the push from the rear. So they are going to go back to where he had the ball and 10 yards from that. So it is costly because now they're at the 35 rather than being at the close to midfield stripe.
So 1st and 10 now at the 35 as a result of the penalty. Bunch formation to the right. Under center goes Brush for the first time. Handing things off to the back. Looking to push forward. Multiple flags flying as the ball.
Well, I'll tell you right now that the flag is because the running back had his head cut off.
Yeah.
That was clearly a face mask. I saw him get twisted around, and that was number 25, Briz Wright, who looked like he had his face mask just wrenched. We do have an injury on the field right now, but it's likely going to be a tack-on foul. What a great run, but this is the first time the Saints have actually brought a fullback on the field, and they just ran straight ISO. That's an inside run with a lead block from a fullback. We'll get the call right now from Alex Jemmy as the medical staff for Quinte attend to their injured player.
Unnecessary roughness, face mask on the defense, number 77. It's a 15-yard penalty added on to the end of the run.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on any sideline would argue with that because you'll see here, again, this is straight ISO. Lead blocker, fullback's going to find first spot linebacker, bang, and then you see right there the face mask, he got turned inside out, and the guy who is actually down right now was the guy who had the face mask. he was hung up in a vulnerable position because his arm was extended on the face mask, and then he got pancaked on top of it. So literally, you have injury on top of the insult of getting the 15-yard penalty and the injury on top of it.
So Mackenzie Dunford is the one being brought to the sideline from that. And the ball being brought all the way to the 46-yard line. 1st and 10, approaching 1 minute to go in this first quarter. Brush this time, setting up under center once again. Handing it off to Wright again. Wright, another open seam. Another strong rush that gets them to about near inches to go.
Yeah, I'm going to give some props here to the offensive line. They have been running the ball exceptionally well. They had one run that was maybe a tackle for a loss, but everything else has been picking up some chunk yardage, and that's another big chunk, 9 yards, and they have the fullback. They're in a power I set here, which is really basic football. You line up with 3 guys lined up, quarterback, fullback, tailback, hand it off, and pick up the yards.
So 2nd down in inches, this time back to Wright. Wright this time getting more than enough to get the 1st down.
All right, so this time they actually go to the counter tray. They go away from the full flow. So the fullback goes right, but they pull offensive lineman, but there was a down block miss, which allowed one of the defensive linemen to at least knife through and negate a longer run, but they only needed a yard, Justin, so they converted the 1st down anyway.
Clock has reached full zeros. This to close out the quarter right here. Looking for the play action. Brush throwing on the motion. Open is Lewis. Lewis dives in. Touchdown, St. Clair.
Yeah, and when you run the ball 3-4 times in a row with success, and then you do a simple little run action boot. They fake the inside run, they pull a guard to escort, and you get the quarterback who has all kinds of time. So they show the run, and then they get the escort from the center who now, look, he's blocking away. A nice throw, a little wheel route from Dante Lewis is very athletic, keeps his balance just enough to dive into the end zone. The ball came out, but he broke the plane and the ground caused it. So you do get a touchdown to end the quarter, Justin, and with an extra point to see if they can make it 24-0.
And the extra point up and good. And after 15 minutes of play, St. Clair takes a 24-0 advantage over the Quinte Skyhawks. You're watching We Digital here from the Acumen Stadium in Windsor, Ontario.
Every child should learn how to swim, for health, for safety, and for fun. That's why we've started Canada's Swim Team. Learn to swim at least 25 meters on your own, and you're on the team. Canada's Swim Team. It's that easy. Help make us the world's largest swim team by adding your name at getswimming.ca. Ask your parents first. Swimming, the only sport that can save your life.
Welcome back to Acumen Stadium for more coverage of St. Clair Saints football and OFC action. The Saints up 24-0 with the Quinte Skyhawks. Justin Prince, Badiquaz with you as we get ready to start the second quarter with the kickoff. With Quinte receiving the ball here in what started off promising. Seen several mistakes build up. This ball rolling its way to the end zone. Drop down and just nailing it down to the end zone, and a bit of squabbling already. and another flag as the single is picked up.
Okay, so usually if it's a flag right off the get-go, you usually see somebody offside, so this might not stand as a single and might have to re-kick. We do. It is going to be offside against the kicking team, the Saints. And there's the indication.
We'll re-kick.
So I'm assuming Quinte's going to opt to re-kick.
Yeah, and that seemed plenty.
Yes, and that looks like the return unit is coming back on the field, and the kickoff unit is having to come back on for the Saints. And those kind of mistakes are some of the ones that I don't care if it's the first game of the year. Don't breach the line. Wait till the ball is kicked. Gaining a half step in the grand scheme of covering a kick is never going to be in your advantage.
So we'll try this again from the 40. Again, 24-0 for those just tuning in here for OFC football. First game of the season for the St. Clair Saints. New era beginning with a strong first quarter over the Quinte Skyhawks. Knight this time set to go. This time, bobbled and dropped. Searching for McDonald, able to find it. McDonald trying to juke around, brought down at about the 11-12 yard line as my goodness.
Yeah, so the penalty actually helped the Saints this time. Quinte would have had the ball at the 35-yard line, and it would have been 25-0. No real difference. All things considered, you'll see the kick here, and it just bobbles right off his face mask, loses track of it, bounces off his shoulder pads, and now it's a live ball. He's not going to have any momentum going forward, and the coverage just catches up to him. And Quinte, who has already had terrible field position to start, this pressure defense from the Saints and Coach Morency, I won't be surprised if he dials up another blitz right off the hop to try to get that ball out yet again.
Verburn still in at quarterback. 4 wide receivers set to the right. Going for the toss right. Misowich. Very quiet day so far. Loses yards this time around. And not too many touches for the veteran running back so far.
No, and not a lot of room on that play. You'll see number 8, Nick Brankovic, read it, work his way to the outside, maintain his outside leverage, doing a good job containing the play and making the tackle. So it turns out to be about 4.5, 5-yard loss. Don't be surprised if Quinte plays it safe here and then ends up taking the safety.
So 2nd and 15, ball spotted at the 6-yard line. Four set in the motion, looking to pass from the end zone, nearly intercepted. Knocked down this time from Tahaji Holmes. And that sets up the 3rd down and long.
Yeah, Tajay almost broke on that. Real long, late, slow throw. If you're going to throw anything, an out, a hitch, a hook to the field side, and it's going to be late, you're lucky if it's not intercepted. And that would have been a walk-in pick 6. Fortunately for Quinte, it was only batted down, but you're likely going to see a safety conceded here. I would surprise to see anything other than a safety conceded, but just not a good offensive series, especially when you got a couple guys running on late. So their special teams are having some issues as well.
So expecting the safety likely here. Approaching 90 seconds into the 2nd quarter. Draining about a bit of the play clock. Now trying to drain a little bit more of it as they take the kneel. And there's the safety. And
yeah, I don't always understand why they take the knee. Justin, sometimes it just doesn't make sense to me. Like when they try to waste time, you're losing. You know, the score should be 26.
Yeah,
the safety's only worth 2. They did not have the single on the one kick, so they'll have to correct that to 26-0. but here's what we see coming up.
And don't forget, the next time that St. Clair Saints football hits the field at Acumen Stadium is against the Hamilton Hurricanes. That in a week's time at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, August the 20th. And that should be an interesting one to see how that plays out. An early test, to say the very least, for St. Clair.
Yes, an early test. That's exactly it, Justin, because Coach Hayes in Hamilton is one of the more tenured coaches in the entire CJFL, behind Coach LaChance, maybe, and one other coach in the whole country. And I expect them to be ready for a battle. Hamilton is always one of the good teams in the league. It'd be nice to see London, Hamilton, the Saints, and another team emerge. If it's not quite yet the time for Quinte, maybe it's Ottawa. Maybe GTA can pull a little bit more competitiveness out. But if we can get 3 or 4 solid competitive teams in this conference, maybe the OFC can win a national championship sooner than later.
So the Saints have decided to receive the kick here. So we'll see how the kickoff fares out for the Quinte Skyhawks this time. Turnman already setting back at about the 25, 30-yard line. Lower kick this time, picked up at the 35. Yuyut trying to get some more space. Trying to dart his way to the sideline. Knocked out of bounds at around the 40. Just inside the 40-yard line, in fact.
And that's been a staple of Coach LaChance's mindset virtually his entire time here coaching. Whenever they do get a safety conceded, you have the option of just taking the ball at the 35, your own 35. More times than not, most coaches opt to take it at the 35. Coach LaChance trusts his return team, and this is why you'll see on the replay, they get some good blocking, and you get it in your playmaker's hands, and before you know it, you bust one in here. They just busted one for another 35 yards, and now they're at the 40-yard line, already working into the Quinte end.
Brush working under center once again. I formation. Handing things off to Vokes. Vokes pushing ahead to about the 20, no, make it the 34-yard line. That makes it a gain of about 6 to make it 2nd and 4.
Yeah, again, ISO inside. Vokes does a nice job getting up in there. A slot receiver looked like that was one slot receiver block away from maybe going the distance. But again, big chunk yardage in the run game out of this power I set.
The ISO continues up for 2nd and 4. And this time it's a botch snap. Diving on top of it is multiple Skyhawks.
We'll have to wait for the call, but you're right. The ball was out. It was a fumble. And we have 3rd down.
So St. Clair is able to jump on top of it, and you see right there.
Yeah, it was a misexchange, and it looked like Vokes just tried to take it with his hands there. I couldn't get the perfect angle there, but it did look like that it was just not a very good mesh between Brush and Vokes, and that resulted in the ball bouncing around on the turf. Fortunately for the home team, they were able to recover it, and it's still 3rd down and short. They picked up 1.5 yards on that exchange, and they're keeping the offense on the field.
Going for the I formation yet again. We'll see how they play this out to try and get the 2 yards. Brush electing to pass it this time. Another open space, another touchdown. Yet again, Dante Lewis with another TD catch. Jared Hayes Williams should say, there for another TD catch for his career.
That is, I think that's an auto. I think when they get to the line of scrimmage, coach told them, hey, we got 2 plays in. We're going to run the power. If we don't have that ISO power inside, if we see man coverage with Jared on the outside, we're just throwing it up to him because he's better than any single corner that they have on the team. And he beat him by 10 yards. That was an easy pitch and catch.
So the onslaught continues and the celebration builds up on the sideline. The extra point is up and good, 33 points.
You'll see here on the replay, they do the little inside fake. And look, he's got 10-yard separation.
That's just not fair. He had 10-yard separation, literally within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Good spiral, too, on the spin.
Little bit of celebration, which is fine. It wasn't in the face of the player. That's okay. And now they've extended their lead to 33-0. And this is exactly what happened last year. Quinte would make mistakes, and the Saints would capitalize. Quinte make mistakes, the Saints capitalize. This is a common theme now for this young team, this new team in the league. But at some point in time, the coach is going to have to say, we're going to have to put different players on the field and find out what we have. Coach Gabriel said they have more depth this year. If you're going to lose, you might as well find somebody who's going to be maybe a little bit more competitive or maybe make some more plays for you. Roll every single player you have on your roster, find them on the field, and find a spot for them and see if they can make a play for you.
So 11-11 to go in the first half of play. Knight this time with the booming kickoff. Return from about the 20 by McDonald. McDonald forced a back tread. Knocked down at about the 25-yard line.
Yeah, Ryan Najim, number 27 there with the nice open field tackle. Good kick, exactly where you want it. Again, you want it outside the numbers if you can, and that allows your coverage to squeeze down. Good square up tackle. Return man had no chance whatsoever to pick up any steam. Wasn't a super deep kick, but it was just enough where the coverage can get there and disturb any kind of momentum starting off from the return man.
First and 10 at the 25-yard line. Fairburn. And flags popping up all over the place.
Yeah, a couple of the offensive linemen. Unfortunately, it's hard to hide when you're 300 pounds. They jumped early, and it's just going to be a 5-yard procedural call.
So that'll make it first and 15.
Penalty, repeat first down.
Indeed, false start is that call indicated on the field. So what can you do if you're Quinte right now to try and wake things up a little bit, build some positives here for the rest of this first half?
I think you got to try to establish your bigs up front, run the ball a little bit. Just try that. Here we go again.
And another jump.
See, they're trying to do it with maybe changing the snap count. This defense is super aggressive, so they're trying to get them to jump, which isn't a bad idea. But if your guys jump, it's going to keep backing you up.
Illegal procedure, number 53 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And that's how you lose 10 yards. It's first and 15.
First and 20 now, 2 consecutive. 5-yard penalty, so it's going to just back them up even more. And the problem is you're not getting any positive yards as it is. You can't give them negative yards right off the get-go.
So first and 20 at the 15. 3 in the motion, this time looking to pass, scrambling left, quickly complete. Good enough for a completion of a couple yards, and that's about all.
So there's one of the answers that you just sort of asked the question about what do you do if you're Quinte. So now one thing they're trying to do is to try to move the launch point of the quarterback. The quarterback is going to sprint out to his strong side, which is his left because he's left-handed, and try to buy him a little bit natural space from the pressure and maybe get the ball out a little quicker. But the problem is when you're isolating and you're only throwing 3 yards and you need 20, you're not going to get too much positive against this fast team.
Lever that time on the catch. This time, McDonald picking up some open space. And McDonald with one of the biggest receptions of the day for Quinte. Makes it from a 2nd and 17 to a 3rd and short.
And that time the quarterback and the receiver were on the same page. It was just hot route. Hey, I'm going to stop. I'm going to run somebody off, and I'm going to stop and replace. If they're going to blitz, I'm going to vacate, or I'm going to go where they vacated. And that's just a little stop route from the slot receiver. And now that puts them that in 3rd and 1. And hopefully they can get that momentum from their bigs, and they can wedge this thing forward and get a first down and give their defense a much-needed rest.
I formation. Looking to go on the rush, forced to bounce it wide far right. Spinning it out, and that doesn't work out. Nate Ticehurst not able to get any space.
Yeah, that's a tough call. The defense is very stout, and if you're going to try to run sideways, they're going to run you down. I think you just quarterback sneak it and you wedge it forward a little bit, and if you wedge it forward, worst case scenario, you're going to get close to the first down, and maybe the referee gives you a favorable spot. When you're going backwards like that, you saw on the replay, Justin, it's easy. It's nowhere near the sticks. And when there's no scrum, they're automatically going to turn the ball over on downs, and now you're going to set up the Saints at the 31-yard line, and they've been a machine since about 2 minutes into the 2 minutes left in the first quarter. This offense has been rolling like a fine-tuned machine, but we have a new quarterback in, it looks like.
It's Matthew Gannett in for the first time. The St. Clair Saints, and quickly whistles blow as the play clock reaches full zeros. Timeout called, St. Clair.
All right, so that might just be a little bit of the inexperience. You're changing quarterbacks middle of the game. You're going to give your rookie quarterback a chance to take a couple exchanges. Maybe took a little bit longer to get the play call in from the sideline, so it costs you a timeout. Not necessarily the end of the world, but in a closer game, the mechanics of even changing to a new quarterback, you want to tidy those things up so that it doesn't cost you when games are on the line a little later as the season progresses.
So we'll see how Gannett now does. Full 20 seconds on the play clock. Going already to a full wide receiver set. Gannett bullets it arm to Lewis. One pass, one touchdown. Welcome to St. Clair.
Nice job by a young quarterback. He looked left, made sure the safety held that hash on the left, and then threw back over the right hash. And that was a simple little great protection from the offensive line, but good poise from the quarterback. He put it on the money. And was that Dante Lewis? It sure was. And that's maybe one of the best receivers in the country, not just in the conference, but in the country. Good protection from the O-line. They empty out the backfield. They get man. They look off the safety over the top, and they find him up the seam.
And a chance to extend the gap to 40-0 here. Extra point up and good.
And we'll see here on the replay. Gannett looks to his left, and then he knows he's coming right back to the right. It forces number 21, the safety, just to stay on that left hash long enough where he can't make a break on the ball. It's a savvy play from a young quarterback.
Liam Wood is the player referred to. Coming up at halftime, it's the halftime report with Dom Papa. Be sure to stay tuned as we see how things play out with Dom during the halftime report here today. $40-0 the score, 8:24 to go in the first half.
Yeah, and this is one of those games now where you're going to see the Saints start sort of using all 55, 65 players dressed and getting different players on the field to see if they have a diamond in the rough just sitting there waiting. It's unfortunate for Quinte, who has to travel this far down, and already we're 22 minutes into the game, and the Saints have built up a 40-0 lead. It's virtually impossible based on what we've seen for Quinte to mount any kind of comeback now. But now it's the first game of the year. You got to compete. You just have to fight till the end.
Kickoff and away. Return by Kelly this time for about the 15. Kelly trying to juke his way out of trouble. Can't get out of the trouble. Kelly brought down at about the 29-30-yard line.
And that was a little bit better of a return. That's a positive. You pick up 15, 16 yards on the return. You're not deep in your own end. Maybe a couple first downs, and maybe you can punt it off. But you'll see here he fields it, like you said, at around the 15. And he's able to gather some momentum and see where a block might be set up and find his way to the 30-yard line. Little bit better on the return unit there for the visiting Quinte team.
First and 10 at the 30-yard line. Looking to sandwich forward. Instead getting sandwiched backward. Loss of 2. 2nd and 12.
Yeah, the quarterback and the running back ran into each other, and when they run into each other, you can't get any downhill momentum going. You'll see on this mesh point here, they brush shoulders. And then that's just a recipe for a disastrous type play when you have this aggressive defense who's going to be coming there, and that's Octavian, and that's number 94. He's just been in the middle, just occupying all kinds of space, and you can't give him that when you have a bad mesh on top of the fact that there's pressure.
2nd and 13, looking to pass. Incomplete. Nearly intercepted at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Keon Grad made the bat at the line of scrimmage, and it looked like it was one of the big linemen who was trying to, you'll see the bat there, and then the ball's in the hands for a split second, and that was number 55. It looked like Lorenzo Blake, one of the big D tackles inside. He'll never get an interception under normal circumstances, and he almost picked one off right there.
So that makes it 3rd and long, and more special teams coming up likely. Yes, the special teams unit's already out. See how some of the adjustments faring on the St. Clair sideline.
Yeah, and the very first kick, the Saints brought pressure. The last few they've peeled off, and it looks like they're going to peel off here and maybe set some sort of return. Hopefully spark a big return, and that was something that they thrived on last year.
Dante Lewis had a few big returns last season. This time, big punt. Lewis returns it from about the 50, gets thrown down at the 50.
That was great by number 20 for the visitors, and that looks like Aaron Dodds did an outstanding job of maintaining his contain, and you'll see it right here on the right of our screen, and you'll see number 20, he's engaging, and he's going to take on the block of number 11, maintain his coverage, squeeze down, make the tackle on an extremely elusive return, man. That is a great job covering. There's a positive. That's what you want to see on the film. That's what you want to take back to your bench. That's what you want to take into next game. Find more plays and players like that.
So 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line. On the jet sweep. Yoyut. Brought down at about the 35-yard line on a big-time burst.
And it's a unique style. That's like a power lead double jet sweep. You'll see one slot lead, and you'll see a lineman pull out of the formation. And now you see the big escort. That's number 67 for the Frat, and that's your best lineman from last year. Mark Speller, who he was hurt a little bit last year. He's returning back. So you take a lineman, wheel him around, you bring a lead escort. Nice little run.
So that brings it to the 35-yard line. Another sweep. This time it's Lewis. Lewis not able to get past the line of scrimmage, if at all.
Yeah, and that was better play. The exact same play, but coming back to the offensive left there, and that's number 24 for Quinte, who is able to fight off the block and get into the backfield and then make the eventual tackle. So that 92 and 24. 92 is Jaden Hay, and 24 is Thomas Robinson combining on the tackle for a no-gainer.
2nd and 10. Ball placed at the 35-yard line. Gannett stands at the 40. Approaching 5 minutes to go in the first half of play. Gannett looking right. Flags popping up at the line of scrimmage. Another flag pops up. Gannett trying to scramble. Knocked all the way out of bounds at the sideline, but several flags did pop up all along the line of scrimmage.
Hey, the flags came out right away, so it's either offsides against the Saints, who you might have had an early motion slot receiver breach the line of scrimmage, or somebody was lined up offside for Quinte. It does look like they're pointing in the Quinte direction, but we'll get the official call here from Alex Jemmy, who got the call from Brent Webster. Yeah, so the indication is an offside, so they're going to get a free 5 on that, and it's going to reset the down. So it's no longer 3rd. It's going to remain 2nd and 5. That flag came out right away. In this case scenario, I don't know if that was a design slide from Matt Gannett. He slid into the pressure there. I think he needed to stay more in the pocket and then step up. but he is what they consider an athletic, mobile quarterback, so he just fell to his instincts and started to move.
This time electing to pass, bowling it away to the end zone again, caught. Touchdown, St. Clair. And guess who? There is a flag.
So we're going to have to see what the call is, but it looks like the referees are marking and spotting the ball, so it looks like the touchdown's going to stand.
Objectionable conduct on the offense, number 23. The touchdown's good.
All right, so we got an objectionable conduct. So there might have been a little taunting going on. So the touchdown's going to hold. They'll move that on the kickoff, so you'll see the Saints kick from their 35 after this extra point attempt.
Hayes Williams getting some congratulatory slaps about. Extra point up and good. 47-0.
Yeah, Jared Hayes and Dante Lewis are picking up where they were last year as two of the premier receivers. And that's on a team that had Cody Holmes last year. These two are just as electric, and now they're going to be the feature players. And it looks like you have two capable backs or quarterbacks so far, because Andrew Brush has proven to be quite effective with a big arm, big body, athletic. He led the first quarter in change. And then you get Matt Gannett, who's in his first year here, 19-year-old, I believe. So you're looking at that and saying, okay, if Andrew Brush is the older one coming from the university, he's been playing post-secondary for a couple years, and then you got a young kid who's coming back to the Windsor area who you might have for 4 years. That position is in more than capable hands, it looks like, for the St. Clair Saints.
Lots of positives indeed, as now they set up for the kick from the 35 after the penalty. Off and away it goes. Return this time for about the 25. Brought across the 40. Brought down to the 42. McDonald this time on the return as a sea of tacklers come in.
So far McDonald's been their most influential sort of ball handler. He does get this return here and picks up about 22, 23 yards, which is good. Anytime you can get 2 first downs on a kickoff like that, the equivalent of it, that's good. He's had a couple catches. He's really been their only offensive weaponry, if you will. But maybe, just maybe, they find another player step up and something special happens from somebody. But it looks like they have a new quarterback in the game.
So back in for the first time since last season, Carter Stevens, and it starts off with a flag. Starting things off with a flag as the ball gets to the 50. And Stevens we've seen as the starting quarterback for Quinte last season.
If my eyes were correct, it looked like you had a Saint lined up offside, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll get the call.
Offside on the offense, number 5. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, I stand corrected. There was an offsides from Quinte, which they get a positive play, and they back themselves up 5 yards. It must have been one of the slot receivers who went early, and on an inside running play, that's such a bad mistake. You can't do that. You get a positive out of it, and you're really so far removed from the point of attack, you're not going to make an influential block early.
Stevens now on 1st and 15, handing things off to the outside. Ticehurst. Ticehurst gets a couple. That makes it to about a second and about 13.
Yeah, and that was Olamide Adejabite. And he did a nice job of flowing and scraping, and a big body swatting at the ball as well, trying to get the fumble and making the tackle. Again, no gain on the play.
Keep in mind, when it comes to Ola, one of the players to keep an eye on for the future, one of the stars from the UK, Intercepted at the line. The big man all the way to the house for the pick six touchdown. London Dawson with the pick six.
Well, London Dawson almost had one before, and this time he is just thrown right into his mitts. Quinte had actually the right play call against a zero blitz. They were throwing a screen. The problem was quarterback had no visual. He saw nothing except for White. And the White was all over him, and then the big man rumble, and he finds his way into the touchdown, into the end zone for the touchdown. Whenever one of the bigs on my high school team score a touchdown, I give them free reign to spike the ball and take the penalty because they don't ever get to celebrate stuff like that, and it's great to see one of the big boys rumble for a touchdown.
Extra point up, extra point. Flies on, but there is a flag.
Yeah, it looks like the Skyhawks were offside, so now they're going to tack it on to the kick here, I believe. Here's the call.
On the defense. We'll apply the penalty on the kickoff.
So the point's going to be good, and now the Saints are going to kick from the 50 rather than the 45. And there he is. There's the man of the moment. Look at him. He just says, I got it. I just need a couple minutes. Just give me a couple seconds here. Oh, wait a minute. I go back on the field and cover this kick? It's a lot of running. But good on him. Not asking for the break. He's going to go right back to his position on the kickoff coverage team. And that's one for the highlight reel. That goes on your highlight package at the end of the year, for sure.
Absolutely. 54-0 the score after the pick six by London Dawson. Ready to kick things off St. Clair. As you take a look, Daniel Mayu, who is the third string quarterback coming in this season, is already warming up. With it is McDonald. McDonald swarmed behind the 20-yard line.
Yeah, if there's one thing we've seen, you can't go sideways against the Saints. Dajay McCormack, he just covered that, and you can't. It's again a good kick, a great placement of the kick. They're kicking from the right hash. He drives it all the way to the left sideline, inside the 20-yard line. It's a great kick. It allows your coverage to bend so perfectly from one side because he can't go up that left sideline. There's just no room. Great kick, good coverage. So good things from the kickoff unit there. And I know the coaches are going to be real appreciative of that, seeing it on film when they get that bird's eye view and see that everyone maintains their lane integrity, because that's going to be something that obviously as the playoffs come, and I know we're a long way from that, but if your special teams are that dominant, it wins you a lot of games.
So 1st and 10 to the 19-yard line. Quinte looking for something. Stevens looking all over the place. Throws it on his motion. Intercepted. Picked off in open space by Kenley Williams. Williams knocked out of bounds at about the 22-yard line.
Yeah, everyone's getting in on the action. Miscommunication in the backfield. Quarterback and running back looked like there was supposed to be maybe some sort of play fake. Looked uncoordinated in the backfield, as we'll see here on the replay. Looking to fake somewhere. No one's there. Quarterback's got to scramble a little bit. And, okay, I know he's trying to do something. He had a guy over the top. Right-handed quarterback scrambling to his left. Into the wind. You're not going to get enough zip on that ball. Turnover. I know what he was trying to do. I'm not going to blame the effort. Just the cards were stacked against him there.
Inside 3 minutes to go now in this first half. Now into the game, Daniel Mayu. Mayu, first pass. First touchdown of the season. How about that to Alex McClellan?
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to get a Quinte penalty as well on top of it here. I think there was an objectionable or unnecessary. It came out real late. We'll get the call from Alex Jemmy, but it looks like the touchdown.
After the touchdown, 2-5.
Okay, so it is against the Saints. It's 25, and that's your running back, Briz Wright. Maybe it was when he picked up the block on the pressure and he just pointed at him after the score. You're up a lot. You don't really need to do that. Some semblance of humility is going to be needed at that point in time, but young player, he'll learn. But you get Dan Mayhew in, and his first throw is a completion for, a 30-some-odd yard touchdown right off the get-go.
And offsides to call immediately before they get the extra point attempt off.
And the defensive player was in the neutral zone and was well breaching it, so they're going to put that on the kickoff as well. So now instead of it being 10 yards back, it's only going to be 5 yards back because they're going to go 10 back and then 5 forward because Quinte now has a penalty that they got to enforce on the kickoff.
It's been that type of a night where St. Clair has been rolling. It started off slow, but it's worked its way like a snowball, where the more it rolls down a hillside, the more momentum it builds, the more speed it picks up, the larger it gets, and the larger this lead has gotten.
Yeah, more like an avalanche. And you're going to see that, again, he didn't look anywhere else. He just says, we're going to go over the top. We got man coverage on the outside. There's nothing pre-snap there. There's no adjustment to the coverage. It looks like at best, if you are playing a cover 3, the corner's not even given enough cushion to do anything like that. So he's treating it like man. Quarterbacks have had pretty clean pockets for the most part. So Coach Rice, Coach Gannett must be happy that the offensive line are giving the quarterbacks, all 3 of them, time to get this thing rolling from the quarterback position.
So 61-0 now the score. And at this point, too, how do you even game plan for the second half? Because, well, it's 61-0.
Yeah, and this is part of the problem. I think the Saints, the frat from last year, had sort of experienced. It's one of those situations where you had way too many blowout games, and I know it's exciting, I know it's fun, but you need to be in competitive games multiple times in a season, and there just wasn't enough of them, I don't think. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not going to play down to your competition, Justin, but the league, we need a few teams to step it up. We need a few teams to really bring it up. So they were confused a little bit, but they got the right call. The ball should be kicked from the 40. Supposed to be from the 45. The OC against the Saints moves it to the 35. The offsides from Quinte moves it up to the 40. Now we're set for kickoff, and we got 2:22 in the opening half.
All set to kick it off and away yet again. Now a solid boost and some changes to some of the return men this time for Quinte. As their different return men get it to about the 30-yard line to start things off.
Yeah, and the hard thing is when you get in a game like this, Justin, the Saints sideline, anyone who gets on the field is excited because they know they're fighting for roster spots. They know they're fighting for dress roster spots next week. Or when they make their first road game. So there's always that level of competing, and that's always that excitement from it. When you're down on the other side, yeah, of course, there are some people who are going to come in, but they're still young. And those young players that are coming in aren't going to have the size, the strength, or the experience to sort of match. It's a hard task for the visitors.
3 in the motion for 1st and 10. Another offsides flag. Another panic for Stevens. This time complete. But again, a flag was down right off the motion for the wide receivers.
Yeah, so we're going to see if the head referee looks like he's staying where he is, which means it's likely going to be coming back. Here's the call.
Offside on the offense. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame. Quarterback breaks a tackle for a sack, a potential sack, finds a 40-yard gain, and it's only going to come back. And maybe we can pick it up on the replay to see if it was an alignment issue or if it was a receiver motioning across the line of scrimmage. As you see the sideline from Quinte, you got the coaches looking at each other, and they're just saying to themselves, what are we doing? What can we do?
Of course, this team led by Peter Gabriel, the head coach, and the head of the Quinte Skyhawks organization, Rick Thompson, brought in as assistant head coach for this season, also in charge of special teams. Starting things off on the ground after the penalty, and picking up a couple yards on the ground.
And sometimes a play like that, I know it seems like it's, what's the point? Like you're down by 60 and you're never going to come back. You got to get some rhythm with your offensive line. You can't just be sitting ducks the entire time catching people and they're bringing heat and blitzing. You got to keep the defensive line honest. You got to lean on them a little bit and maybe get some of your offensive linemen's feet stuck in the ground and moving the pile a little bit.
2nd and 13. Stevens throwing, bobbled, incomplete.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get roughing the passer. So the Quinte Skyhawks might get a reset of the downs here.
That was intended for Zaghetti, for reference. Nick Zaghetti, the 5'7" receiver.
Yeah, it looks like it was Tynan Braymiller, who's had a monster game already in the first half with some pressures, a forced fumble. It's just been a motor. Maybe got a little high and a little late on the quarterback, and that's going to reset the sticks at the 42-yard line and give new life to the offense for the Skyhawks.
Minute 37 to work with. Stevens, another bobble pass, incomplete. That time intended for Lever.
Wasn't going to go anywhere because it looked like Michael Gomes was in coverage there, and it's going to be tough for them to really keep getting any yards.
I want to mention with Brock Lever, he's one of the players that I find most intriguing about this team in terms of the newcomers. He's one of the players from the under-18 team who was the running back, the wide receiver, their punt returner, and kick returner all in one last season amongst those promoted to Quinte's main roster here for OFC action. Meanwhile, Stevens, feeling pressure yet again, throws it away.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, Justin, you're putting a lot of stake in a really young person who doesn't have a lot of help around them. I appreciate the fact that he was so talented at the U18 and he was multi-utilized. But when you come here, you got some men. You got 22, 23-year-olds. You got an experienced team. And, of course, you can throw it away anywhere as long as it goes past the line of scrimmage, in or out of the pocket in Canadian football. So he just had to get that out so they can punt. But it's hard for a young player to have that much weight on their shoulders. If you look at the Saints, they're going to probably rely the most heavily on Dante Lewis and Jared Hayes-Williams. They're veterans. They're two all-star type players. That's what the difference between an up-and-coming young team and an established program, the predominant powerhouse in the Ontario Football Conference.
Off and away is now the punt, meanwhile, on 3rd down. Turn picked up at about the 35. Lewis able to find some space, getting around to about the 50-yard line. And another good return from Lewis.
And pretty much the only thing they haven't really scored a touchdown on is their special teams unit. I know they've got a field goal and they've converted a bunch of kicks, but the number one thing, probably if you followed my career as a broadcaster, I always emphasize catching the ball in the air. And Dante Lewis is probably one of the best players I've seen in the last handful of years who routinely catches the ball in the air. And the advantage gained when you can cleanly catch it and then get your eyes moving and set up your blocks, it's why he's maybe one of the best return men in the country.
Mayu, meanwhile, known for a strong arm, going to hand things off for 1st and 10. Right, with a huge push forward. Check that. That is Doyle Marshall putting on the heat.
Yeah, nice power run. Again, they run the ice, so he breaks the tackle at the line of scrimmage and then just lowers his shoulder. the one thing you got to avoid, he can't lower his head and his crown and initiate contact with his head because it can cause him and the opponent harm. He did a great job of leading with his shoulder and ran right over and picked up 7.5 yards.
MJ Doyle Marshall getting the ball on second down as well. Running on the seam. Running into open space. Brought down inside the 10-yard line.
All right, so if we do see a replay here, I'm not going to talk about the running back as much as I'm going to talk about the offensive line. Watch all the white jerseys, and they're going to go down. You'll see the bigs. Look at them running 10, 15, 20, 25. They're down the field hustling. The big guys are down there. They're excited to see their running backs get down the field. That's a mountain of men up front for the Saints.
First and goal, down to the final 30 seconds as the quick rush forward, in for the touchdown. Jarrell Pappin with the rush this time.
Yeah, and the blocker finally gets a ball carrier. They've run that ISO, they've run the isolation, the power with the fullback leading. This time, they give it to the fullback, and he finds pay dirt, extending the lead 67. I don't think the Saints got to 70 last year once. So they're obviously well on their way with an ensuing extra point. I have a hard time believing they're not going to stretch this out and maybe even get into a higher number. We do have an injury on the field, so we got a trainer from Quinte having to come out, but it's going to be hard to really motivate your guys coming in.
Don't forget, at the break, it's the halftime report with Dom Papa, so be sure to stay tuned to be able to learn what's at stake. The halftime report with Dom Papa.
Yeah, they're going to be talking about maybe steak from the keg, because there's not much at stake right now, Justin. They're going to be, we know what's going to happen in the game, but I'm sure Dominic's going to have a nice plan. They're going to talk about the Saints coming, buying the team, and the future for it. And as I was talking to some of the coaches, and me being a former fratman, having played here for 4 years, having coached here for a decade, having called the games for another decade, being a part of this organization for 25 some odd years of my life, loving the dynamic of they've established a true home for the first time in a while. I've broadcast from La Jeunesse High School, from Sandwich Secondary once, from Essex High School once, from the University of Windsor, from Windsor Stadium. We've been all over the map, and now it looks like home is going to be at Acumen Field, the home of the Clair Saints Football program here in the Ontario Football Conference.
Extra point up, and extra point good meanwhile. And that's the major thing, too, is what's been built here has been very impressive, to say the very least. And it's something that took years in the making in the first place, with all the talks going through the last decade, the previous decade, should say, before this stadium came to fruition here on the main campus of St. Clair College.
Yeah, and you know what? There's like this. The St. Clair program here has invested in all of their athletics. They have a state-of-the-art facility indoor. They have a state-of-the-art tennis center. And they have a state-of-the-art baseball area. The field itself is phenomenal, and the best part about it is it's a soccer football field. It's not a track. There's no oval around it. You're coming here for one of two things. You're coming here to watch the Saints play football or the Saints play soccer. And it's such a wonderful dynamic that the fans are going to be on it. And kudos to all our fans. Like, we have a packed house here on a gorgeous night here in Windsor. And the fans are staying. They're all excited. First game of the year, gorgeous night. They're going to probably stay here all night.
Zaghetti, meanwhile, on the return, brought down at about the 30-yard line or so, approaching the final plays of the first half here in this one. See the replay, meanwhile, of that return.
Yeah, and again, just you're going sideways, Justin. That's never a good thing against a team that's faster than you. And I'm happy to say that was number 16, one of my old high school football players, Dalton Van Laer, who made the tackle. Just one of my smarter football players understood the game for me at the high school, and him and his older brother played here last year. His younger brother is now on the team as well. It's nice to see them, as we do see a player being attended to from the Quinte Skyhawks.
So an injury stoppage here on the field with 16 seconds to go in the first half of play.
Yeah, these are one of those situations. Now, again, if the coach is planning to actually run a set play where they're trying to establish something, run it. If not, if you have an injury, okay, just run these 16 seconds off, get to the sideline, get to the dressing room, talk to your guys about the importance of compete and move on to the second half. But again, you have to coach all 4 quarters. The players have to play. You got to find your diamonds in the rough somewhere.
That was Austin Badabapie, also known as Podsy, brought to the sideline, by the way. Pressure for Stevens on 1st and 10. Brought back for the sack at the 15 yet again. London Dawson.
Yeah, and that one there, he pumped. He actually had some initial time. The O-line actually picked it up. He pumps. You can't hold on that long because you got London Dawson matched up against a running back. Yeah, it's not a win. You're going to lose that. The running back did a nice job initially on that. That was number 22. Nate Ticehurst, who initially picked up Dawson. Quarterback's got to get rid of that. You can't hold on to that. Now, maybe the coverage behind it was too good, but reality is it resulted in a sack.
This to end the first half of play. Stevens feeling more pressure, brought down for yet another sack.
Another sack, another forced fumble, end of the half. They're lucky it wasn't a scoop and score.
And at halftime, it is 68-0 St. Clair. Halftime report with Don Papa coming up. You're watching We Digital from Acumen Stadium in Windsor, Ontario.
First kiss. She's thinking about a million things, like should I lean in or let him? Do I close my eyes or open them? But for him, he's only thinking about one thing. Did she have peanut butter for lunch?
Into our halftime report, week number 1 for the St. Clair Saints as they do battle with the Quinte Skyhawks. The bench boss of 17 years here with the Saints and Fratman regime, Mike LaChance joins us here at halftime. Thanks for doing this with us, Coach. I don't want to talk about the game right now. We'll save that for the post game. I want to get into the season, the changes, everything that's happening with Saints football. We talked about it at the pregame show, the outlook of the team. How exciting is it to be part of this in year number 2?
It's super exciting, especially with the name change. We're really under the St. Clair Saints Athletic Department banner. I can feel the energy in the school, and to be part of something as big as St. Clair College and as prestigious as St. Clair College, it really adds a new element to what we do, and it's a pretty awesome feeling.
You mentioned the name change. There's been a few changes, nothing drastic. It's football. But a lot of new faces in the lineup this year, Coach. That's something you've gone through before. You and Coach Morency, you've worked with a lot of new faces over the years. How different is it this year?
Well, we lost 4 All-Canadians on offense. So, I mean, when you lose 4 All-Canadians, there's always going to be a change. But like I said, with 49 new players on the team, a lot of good quality that's gone, it's tough, but you know what? You move on. We're used to it after 17 years. You get used to it, and that's no different this year. New faces, same expectations.
I want to talk about you. You went from a player at all the various levels, and then you got into coaching right away. And you've been, as you mentioned, at the helm here for 17 years. It's gone by fast because I've been here through it with you in one way or another. But 17 years gone by. How has it changed? How has the coaching changed at this level?
It's a different game. I think kids have changed a lot over the years, and I think to stay relevant as a coach, you've got to be able to adapt and change with them. You hear people talk about millennials, so on and so forth, and there's some truth to it. It's a little different coaching guys now than it was 17 or 18 years ago. But at the end of the day, football is football. Even though the game's changed a little bit, it's still bones. It's still the same. So you're still coaching tackling and blocking and all the technical stuff. It's fairly similar to what you did before. And like I said, you just adapt as you go and you have fun with it.
The Fratmen have always been a quality team, quality organization, but there were some lean times. Financially, there were a team. It was in some tough times. The stadium was always an issue. All of that's changed in the last 2 years, Coach LaChance. How has that helped you to just focus on coaching, because you wore several hats in the past?
Yeah, I did. And I tell people we were here, there, everywhere, and nowhere all at once. And now to have a home, and not only a home, but the best home in Canada. We have it better than anybody in the CJFL. And I remind our kids of that every day, that we have a better support system, we have a better school, we have a better stadium. They get what they need, a better medical crew. So they get everything they need, and there's really no excuses not to excel, both in the classroom and on the field. And that's changed a lot. And there's a lot of support here. There's a lot of support outside of just the stripes. So it allows me, like you said, to concentrate on putting the team together as a recruiter in the off season, and then really coaching them up on game day and during the week.
I know you always bring great energy, Coach. I love watching you work the sideline, and you're right into it. But with everything that's happened in the last couple of years, has it rejuvenated you in any way? Not that you maybe didn't need it, but certainly added a little spark.
It did, for sure. And I think I still have the same energy as I did as a rookie head coach 18 years and 17 seasons ago. But like you said, it lets me focus a little bit more. And the last point about just the support system allows me to be a little bit more laser locked in with what we have to do. And the energy is always going to be there because that's just who I am. But a lot of times it's the young coaches on staff, too, when we bring guys on staff that I coached, and they're coming on staff as 25-year-olds, and it reminds me of me when I started coaching, and Coach Morency the same way. He started young, and we're trying to bring these guys along and kind of bring up the next generation of coaches in this area, and they bring a different level of energy. So it's all plays into it, and it just leads to a lot of fun.
I think I know the answer to this next question, Coach, but I have to ask it for our viewers, and just to get that insight with you. Are you still learning anything in the game? I know you know the game so very well, but is there still things to learn? Still things for you to work on?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, it helps having Coach Morency on staff. He's coached everywhere. He's obviously a very veteran coach and an accomplished coach in many sports. So to have a guy like that to be able to bounce things off of, Rick Cranker's here in an administrative role. And not that he coached football, but he coached hockey at a high level. I could bounce stuff off of him. Ron Segan, the VP here at St. Clair College, is an accomplished sports guy. I bounce stuff off of him probably more than he likes. So I've got a lot of support around me, and I really feel you learn every day. And when you stop learning and you stop having fun, it's time to hang them up, and I'm nowhere near that.
Coach Cranker's got some of those gray hairs because of me, Coach. He coached me in hockey, so you could ask him about it. I probably put a few of those gray hairs there for him. But you mentioned the recruiting thing, and I think that's so very key. And a lot of people maybe don't realize how much that's expanded. And certainly now with this facility and the college behind you, it's just grown that much more, maybe even that much more work for you.
It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. Social media definitely makes it a lot easier. So if you stay up to date with that kind of thing, it makes it a lot easier as a coach. And I think I'm on top of that. I really take a lot of pride in putting my stamp on recruiting. I'm basically the first line of contact with the generally most recruits on this team, and I like it that way. I like bringing kids in. I like bringing the parents in. Now that we have a school like this, when I bring them down, we don't lose them. We sign them when we bring them. They want to sign on the spot, generally speaking, and it's fun. It's fun, but we really reach out. I mean, we got 2 kids from the UK. We got a kid from Missouri, a kid from Ohio. We've got guys from Manitoba, Nova Scotia. 20 kids plus from Toronto. So really the recruiting reach of St. Clair College has allowed me to spread my wings as a recruiter and really be successful that way.
Talk to me about this group. I know it's only week 1 here, Coach, but if you had to put a stamp on them to describe them, how would you go about that?
fast and physical. I think defensively we're going to be really fast and really physical defensively. I'm looking forward to seeing them play against somebody else because coaching the offense against them every day, it's a pain. It's tough to get any success against them. So I'm looking forward to seeing that group really go to work. Offensively, I think, like I said, we graduated 4 All-Canadians. It's tough to rebound, but when you start with Lou and Jared as receivers, you've got 2 awesome, dominant receivers, and everything else kind of can take care of itself. A big offensive line, I'm going to really try to establish ourselves physically as this year goes on, and I think that'll be the bread and butter for us for sure.
This is still fun for you, Coach?
I have so much fun. I have so much fun, and the kids see it, and I think it rubs off. I think our coaching staff, I really preach it, have fun every day and practice with the kids. Keep it light, but get things done. We move fast, but we move with intentions, and I think that if you do those things, it leads to success.
Well, it's fun having you here, Coach, that's for sure. We love having you here. Good luck the rest of the way. I know we'll be talking a lot throughout the season. Really appreciate your time here, and go Saints, right?
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, go Saints, absolutely.
All right, the head coach, Mike Lachance of the St. Clair. I'm going to call him Fratman at one point, but I'm doing pretty good right now for the St. Clair Saints. A quick timeout. When we come back, we'll continue on with our halftime report. This is St. Clair Saints Football on We Digital Productions.
My name is Nicole Pekala. Before I was in the welding program, I was a pet nutritionist at a pet shop for about 3 years. You'll be surprised how great it is to be a woman in the trades because it's such a welcoming community. Every woman that I've met that's in the trades program or has studied within the trades is just so happy to be in it. And why wouldn't you want to be a part of something that everybody else is enjoying and loving themselves?
Tell Bill to get you one. Hurry up. I got to call. Just leave it, Bill. Are we on? Let's go. I want to get Ron on for a couple minutes at least. Welcome back to Acumen Stadium. We continue on with our halftime report. All St. Clair Saints tonight as they lead the Quinte Skyhawks 68-0 after 30 minutes of play. The vice president, the man that makes this sports department go and grow, Ron Segan, joins us, the vice president. Thanks for doing this with us, Ron. And what a great night. I mean, Wish the game was a little more competitive. I'm sure you would too. But a great crowd here tonight. The atmosphere is outstanding. There was a tailgate party. Everything seems to be already in stride here for the Saints.
Yeah, a little lucky, Dami. Hot summer, but we've got a little bit of fall in the air tonight. And, yeah, we're ready. Good crowd. Our team's worked really, really hard for the last, 4 to 6 weeks, and it's showing a little bit against a program that's still developing in Quinte.
Still developing, but I think the vision's already becoming very clear, Ron. You have a number of players that have come to St. Clair from different parts of the world now. It's not just here in North America. You got a couple of players from England that are here. You got some players from the States, and you've recruited really very well throughout Canada. This, I think, was the vision that you had saw when you brought this team here, bought the team, and said, this could work out for the college very well and for junior football.
Yeah, we took a step and rebranded a little bit because we think that just creates longevity for the program, Dom. We got kids from Calgary, Nova Scotia, England, Arizona, and a whole bunch locally as well. So there's 80 rostered players out there tonight. 62 of them are full-time students. The rest are part-time students. So, yeah, the vision you mentioned has come quickly, and we couldn't be happier.
And tonight's the start. It's the kickoff, so to speak. St. Clair Athletics is going to be extremely busy this year. You're hosting a number of tournaments, championships. All the teams have recruited well. This is a year where I think people are going to be really impressed and proud of this college when it's all said and done.
Yeah, we didn't realize last year because with the COVID complications, we medal-wise had the best year in the history of the college. And to your point, we're excited. The recruitment has been nonstop. We host the National Softball Championships here Thanksgiving weekend, and we have a number of teams that can compete. Men's basketball, we host the provincials, in February. So, it's exciting. We need a COVID-free sports season, and the excitement will be back quickly.
We got to keep our fingers crossed. It's creeping a little bit, but hopefully we'll get it under control. Hey, we got to get back to the field, Ron, but I'm sure we're going to talk down the road. But congratulations on all of this. It's off to another good start, and I think a lot of people are excited about St. Clair Athletics this year.
Thanks, Don. We appreciate it.
It's Ron Segan, the hardworking vice president of the St. Clair College Saints. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, it's the kickoff, second half action. You're watching St. Clair Saints football on the We Digital Network.
Welcome back to Acumen Stadium, where St. Clair leads 68-0 over the Quinte Skyhawks. Justin Prince, the D-Quaz with you. And what can you say? Just absolute domination throughout the first half for St. Clair. Momentum, all their direction entering the second half of play in the final 30 minutes.
Yeah, not much to say, Justin. I don't know if I've ever been on the back end of something at 68-0 at the half. I know some of my high school games have been a little bit lopsided. I understand you can be on the bad side of things at times, but I don't think you need a rah-rah speech. I just think you got to go out and coach. Your job is to coach your players. Your job is to evaluate your players. Your job is to find the best position for those players to succeed. And if I'm the head coach of Quinte, I'm not talking as much to the players as I am to my coaching staff. Guys, stay on your players, stay focused, stay disciplined, correct what you can correct, sub when you have to, find what they're doing well, encourage it. You have to coach. I would be addressing my coaches more than I would be my players.
So getting ready to start the third quarter of play. St. Clair, remember, had deferred to start off the second half of play. Off and away we go. Return from inside the 20-yard line. Knocked out of bounds just around the 40-yard line. Tristan Rutherford this time at the run back. So solid field position to start off the second half.
Yes, it is. And, I've noticed already a couple substitutions up front, but the bottom line is both teams. I would emphasize the same sort of message for Coach LaChance. Get on your coaches to make sure that if you're making substitutions, those guys that are now in better be executing the way you want them. Don't wait till the film. Do it in live.
Starting off in the I formation. And quickly brought down for a loss of a couple. And it's worth noting that amongst those back in is Brush, in fact, it looks like, to start this third quarter.
And that was just a nice convergence. You had a nice play from number 92, Jaden Hay, and missed assignment from the running back. He did not chip enough of the looping defensive end.
So the starters back in for St. Clair in a 16-8-0 lead. Brush, incomplete. And that leads to the question, why bring the starters in 68-0?
Well, I don't think Coach LaChance necessarily knows who his starter is at quarterback. All three are capable. Brush, you can't let Brush come in and say that he's played, 15 downs? That's not enough to evaluate. You got to get film on him. You have to get some film on him. So they got to work on it.
So off to punt this time, St. Clair, for a rare punt, in fact. Quinte picks it up at about the 40-yard line. McDonald knocked it out of bounds. Flag starts to pop up in turn on the tackle attempt.
Good job by McDonald reeling that in. Again, he caught it in the air, picked up close to 10 yards on it. Unfortunately, flag came out. It looked like a push in the rear. We'll see what the application is going to be from our refereeing crew. But it looks like they're going in the negative direction if you're Quinte.
Holding on the return team, number 3. That's a 10-yard penalty, first down.
So a hold coming in.
And as it stands right now, Justin, it doesn't look like we're adjusting the timing. The clock seems to be running on schedule. It doesn't look like they're going to run it. And if you're Coach Gabriel, maybe you want to see the full 4 quarters. You want to get good evaluative tape. So you might want the full time to play this out, even though you're down by quite a bit.
Fairburn back in the game, immediately drops the ball and trips up on himself.
Yeah, he rocked a little bit, and that means he ended up short-arming the shotgun snap, and it looked like there was supposed to be a fake. You'll see him rock back a little bit. So he's rocking back, and that cost him the visual of the ball and missed exchange, and, of course, it leads to a big loss on top of the fact that they were already driven back because of the holding call. So now they're back to that 7-yard line or so?
23.
23-yard line, thank you.
2nd and 22 coming up. Just past a couple minutes into the third quarter, 12:43 to go to be precise in this frame. Fairburn looking to pass. And miscommunication incomplete. That time, the closest in the vicinity was Jacob Hosford.
I think that's a missed throw from Fairbairn. I believe the receiver squatted in the proper spot. That's that sort of outside B seam, if you will. You don't want to drag that too much into the halfback. I think that was a bad throw.
So 3rd and long. And what has started off to be similar to what we've seen for the start of the first quarter, bit slow tempo out of the start of the half. Special teams unit now up on for the punt. Return this time for about the 50-yard line. Rutherford steps out of bounds at the 48. Rutherford had some open space if he didn't step on that line.
Oh, and Kirk Hayes is just getting heckled by the Saints sideline. I couldn't tell. There were too many bodies in the way, but great job by Rutherford, aggressively attacking the ball in the air, catching it in the air, and maybe we can see if his foot, it did look like he did graze it. Good job on the spot. I will give him the benefit of that call, despite the fact that some of the Saints sideline looked like it was not. It appeared to be the right call from our camera angle.
Brush gets things set up, handing things off and away, off to the races, off to the end zone for a touchdown.
Well, Coach McCurdy told me that any one of his running backs this year, if they get in open space, can find pay dirt, and he wasn't lying. That was a huge hole from the offensive line, a few backups in, and just opened up and ran straight line, and no one was going to catch him when he had that much momentum going through the first level of the defense, and that now puts him up 74-0.
Carl Faber, that time on the rush, and it's now 75-0.
Yeah, and here we're going to see on the replay, you get a turnout block, and that's it. Nothing. No linebacker to be found. Grazed barely by the safety. And then it's just a straight line run into the end zone. Sort of so many riches right now on this Saints team. And then maybe the Saints are going to say to the Quinte, you guys are trying to emulate us. Quinte's marrying themselves with Loyalist College. They're trying to do some of the similar things, establishing roots in a community, partnering with an organization, reaching out to possibly Queens in the area to maybe amalgamate and develop programs for multiple age groups, and of course feeding into the junior level of 22 and under. And maybe Big Brother here, St. Clair, is saying, not quite so fast, Quinte. You guys can keep trying, but it took us 80, 90 years to get to where we are. You guys are going to have to work a little harder than just two.
So in turn, kickoff by St. Clair once again. Turn for about the 15-yard line. Trying to juke and dive. Able to get to about the 24-yard line. But you did mention the positives. Quinte has built up plenty of them in their couple years in the OFC, we'll say.
Yeah, and from a program perspective, you have to build the roots. You have to have that foundation. They're trying to do that. They're trying to have their under-18 team. They're trying to reach out to the local community partners, including the college, including the area. Like they're in the Belleville area, and the Queens is Kingston, not too far away. You're trying to partner with these organizations. It's not going to happen overnight. Well, heck, 1 year is clearly not enough to do that. So this is going to be a continual work in progress.
Fairburn, meanwhile, incomplete on 1st and 10. Lever the intended target that time.
Yeah, and again, a simple little play like that. Timing was off in the backfield. Quarterback stumbles out of his sprint out. Next thing you know, you miss an open receiver. And even if he gets tackled for a 2-yard gain, it's still a positive. Those are the things you have to execute. Even if you're down this much, you have to get those things together.
Clock continuing to roll meanwhile for a 2nd down and 10. Quick throw, nearly intercepted.
Yeah, that was number 30, Malcolm Wallace on the break up there. Fairbairn he eyeballed the receiver a little bit too long. His eye stayed left the entire time, and he held on to it a little bit too long. Defensive backs are very, very keen to seeing the head of the quarterback. If the head of the quarterback stays there, they want the interception. You got to look people off. You got to move them with your eyes and your mechanics. And we saw that with Matt Gannett did that, moved the safety and held him, and they scored a touchdown. So that's a coaching point that, again, if I'm Coach Gabriel, I'm going to pull up and I'm going to tell my coaches, get on him, explain to him. He can't stare at a receiver at this level. You have to execute.
Now they look to execute on special teams yet again. Punt this time back from inside their own 20. Popped up this time. Ball bounces its way all the way back to the 45. Rutherford picks it up. Nearly loses the handle, keeps the handle, instead brings it up towards center field.
Favorable bounce for Quinte on the punt. In no fault of Rutherford in this case. He was hustling, sprinting to the ball, but he couldn't get it in the air. It was too short of a kick. And we're seeing a kickoff here, and I'm not sure. That must have been the opening kick, but we're back to the offense right now.
So we'll see what continues with the testing as Gannett is now in to try and test things out for St. Clair. Bit of rotation of committee as they continue to go back and forth on that as they go back in the backfield on the rush.
Yeah, and that time that's squarely on the offensive line. It looked like, is that El Nagmi? He did not come down hard enough from his right side tackle position, and he couldn't get that cutoff block, and before you know it, defensive tackle is able to work his way. Big number 99, Duran, was able to knife up the field and make a tackle for a loss of about 3 yards.
So Sam Duran with the tackle. And St. Clair now with 2nd and 13 at the 51-yard line to work with. Press coverage. Gannett, big mistake, bobbles the ball. Quinte picks it up. And it is the first major mistake for St. Clair of the day.
Yeah, and it was sort of a low snap. I'm going to want to see it again. My rule is pretty much waist to face. If the ball is snapped anywhere from your midsection up, it needs to be there. I think it was a slightly low snap, but you'd like to believe you can handle that. So it's part and parcel of both. And then with the immediate pressure off the edge, Gannett really had no chance of corralling that in. He's off balance. So I'm not going to blame it solely on the quarterback. The center's got to do a better job, but you got to secure the ball.
Joe Tomlinson that time on the fumble recovery for Quinte. Meanwhile, the Skyhawks feeling tons of pressure as multiple flags pop up on the sack attempt.
Face mask, and that's what you're going to get. So you're going to move up 15 yards, and I'm going to say this right now, though. Every one of the defensive players is livid right now. I'll explain in a second after this call.
Unnecessary roughness, face mask on the defense, number 13. That's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Every defensive player is upset. The ones that played in the first half, the ones on the field now. They gave up the turnover, and then they give them 15 more yards. The offense gives up turnover, and then the defense gives up 15 more yards. You're compromising that big zero, that shutout that you so much want to keep on the board if you're a defensive unit.
Quinte in their best field position of the entire night, trying to run it on first down, able to get a gain of a couple. Misowitz this time on the rush.
Yeah, and that's just 3 yards in a cloud of field turf, if you will. No longer dust anymore. But that they're just trying to establish a little bit of line of scrimmage, a little bit of point of attack, which will give Fairbairn a little bit of time if they do have some play action to possibly set up a bigger play and maybe find the end zone from about 15, 16 yards out.
2nd and 6. Ball at the 15-yard line. First time in the red zone for Quinte. Fairbairn looking to throw to the end zone. Broken up, but a flag is down. And this might be pass interference.
Yeah, might is definite. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a pass interference call.
Here's the call.
Pass interference on the defense in the end zone. We're going to the 1 yard line. First down.
So in this possession alone, the Saints have given up 30 yards, and he got beat. He was definitely beat, and you're going to see that as he turns into him, he puts two hands on him before he turns. That's the penalty. If he had just turned, wouldn't have been a penalty.
First and goal at the 1 yard line. Trying to rush in.
He's just short.
Miswich indeed losing about a yard, if not two, in the process to make it second and goal. And this is one of those potential positives you can build on, right?
No question, you got to pay it off. You've gotten a turnover. Every time you create a turnover from your defense, your offense has to pay it off.
Can they pay it off is the question. Second and goal now. This time they keep it. Trying to dive in.
Short.
And
before he reached it down, his backside was actually on the ground. That's a great call. You see Chris Patton, number 54. He was right there. You'll see the quarterback sneak. Fairbairn's going to work to his left, and he gets pulled back. Butt is down, and the ball did not cross until after his butt was down. And you see Chris Patton in the perfect position to make that spot. And even though he got to the half-yard line, in Canadian football, the ball automatically spots back to the 1. You need a 1 yard neutral zone in the field of play. The end zone does not count for that.
Timeout taken on the field meanwhile. And you can see Coach Gabriel and just seeing some of the facial expressions down there heading into this 3rd and 1. A chance to break the shutout here. They can just get 1 yard. Keep in mind that the next time St. Clair Saints football will be on the air will be next week as the Hamilton Hurricanes come into town. That coverage starting at approximately 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Once again, August the 20th. Hurricanes, Saints on We Digital.
And this film is going to put a lot on the plate for Hamilton. Hamilton's going to have to look at that and break it down and say, they got some big bodies. They got some speed. The Saints have reloaded. What can we take away? It's going to be a difficult, tall task. Obviously, we haven't seen Hamilton yet. Maybe Hamilton has improved their roster. But it's a tall task given what we've seen from St. Clair.
Third and goal. Ball placed at the 1 yard line. Quinte going for the scramble in.
Short anyway. He fumbled the snap. It's going to be a turnover on downs.
And
he fumbled the snap, and the Saints defense held.
And St. Clair able to put up the stop after allowing 30 penalty yards. They don't allow any points.
And you'll see here, right under center, he bobbled it right away. And then once he reached for it, his knee was on the ground. It is dead. Regardless of who recovered it at that point, the ball was still in the field of play. Ball is now dead in his possession. And unfortunately for Quinte, they could not pay it off. And we have another Quinte player who seems to be down, holding a lower leg. I don't know if it's a cramp. Looks like he's stretching in the manner that it's a cramp. Fortunately for both teams, the playing conditions has been absolutely perfect. The weather has been great. The wind has not been terrible. The rain has managed to stay away from us. And the temperature is absolutely perfect. Normally the first game of the year with an August summer date, especially in the Windsor area. This was last week, Justin. We had heat indexes in the hundreds. We had advisories all over the place. This week, absolutely perfect weather for these guys. Both teams probably at least enjoying that much of it to open up your season.
Yeah, even before kickoff today, it was a bit balmy with the cloud cover even.
Yeah. So now, I would not be surprised here if you'll see Matt Gannett under center and they just run straight ISO. Let's pick up chunk yards on the ground, and that is indeed the case.
Looking to try and bounce it outside. The bounce gets them a little bit of space to work with at least to get it to about the 4 or 5 yard line.
I'm pretty sure that was not the design. You were supposed to lead that up and in, and he ended up having to bounce that. Now, there was pressure from number 77 of the visitors, and that is Mackenzie Dunford, which forced the bounce. So that was a good enough effort to at least get them a few yards. Because I know what Coach Morency's saying to Coach LaChance right now. We are not conceding the safety. You are going to be punting this regardless of whether you get this first down or not, because that defensive coaching staff and defensive players do not want to give up the shutout.
2nd down and 7. Ball placed at the 4-yard line. 2 in the motion. Gannett looking to bullet it down the field. Bobbled and caught. Caught down at center field for a big-time completion. This time it is Tyler Szymanski with the catch for a gain of about 45.
It's so peculiar the way they're set in their coverage. They have a linebacker skating right past him, and he doesn't chuck him at all off his course. You have a slot going up the seam untouched off the line of scrimmage. Schematically, that's something they have to rectify. You can't have a corner coming all the way from the sideline to defend that.
Meanwhile, back on the ground goes St. Clair, the Saints. Fumble the ball. Quinte jumps on top of it. And a second fumble in as many drives.
Yeah, Nathaniel Tizwichik. And we're going to see here, he has the ball in the left hand. Looks like he's holding it tight. He switches it to the outside hand. And you notice how the elbow got away from the body. As soon as that got away from the body, that means you do not have any back pressure on it, which means any kind of pressure from the front side pops it loose. Would have liked to seen him, when he had it in his left hand, Justin, he was protecting it high against his chest. When he moved it to the right, he allowed his elbow to get too high, and that gave that little gap, and a good tackle forced that fumble.
And the Skyhawk is down from that scruffle for the ball. Training staff coming out once again to check out the Skyhawk player. We like to take the time to remind you and take the time to notify you in some cases that we are hiring. Yes, we are hiring new talent here at We Digital Productions. Whether that's as a host, as a fellow play-by-player, color commentator, as a camera person, or as a graphics assistant. For more information and to be able to apply, go to info@we-tv.ca. Submit your application. Again, these are paid positions available, whether as a host, play-by-play, color commentator, camera persons, or graphics assistant.
We haven't even gone through the first game, Justin. They're trying to replace us already. We're not even through the first game of the OFC season. Like, you're promoting it. That's okay, though. We're going to keep doing this until they finally replace us. We're going to pressure them. How about that? Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. We're having fun with it. And send in your applications, folks. It is fun. If you like to talk and you like to talk sports, join the team.
It's a good time to join in, absolutely. Under 4 minutes to go, as now the player brought to the sideline is Mackenzie Dunford.
And that's been one of their better defensive players. He's been the one who's created some of the pressure, so that might be, hopefully it's not season ending or anything too long.
Starting things off on this drive with the provided pressure, nearly intercepted. And Kenley wanted that one.
We do have a flag on the play, and again, he's holding on to it just a fraction too long, and he's eyeballing his receiver.
Unnecessary roughness, roughing the passer on the defense. Number 13, 15-yard penalty, first down.
So we have the unnecessary roughness call, which is going to give them 15 more yards. So really in the last 5 offensive plays for Quinte, the Saints have given up 45 yards of offense in essence. And I don't know if Quinte's had 45 yards on their own. So they're getting the benefit from the Saints defense right now, making some mistakes. But they're still at midfield, and you can expect some pressure here dialed up from Coach Morency's crew.
1st and 10 now at the 52. Looking to throw, batted down, nearly intercepted.
Oh, yeah, so you had two bigs there who were looking at it. You had 65 for St. Clair, and that was Corey Levesque. And then you had 74 for the visitors. You're going to see the ball get batted at the line of scrimmage or near the line of scrimmage. And then you got one big man and another big man. And sorry, that was number 55, and that was Lorenzo Blake, who almost picked that off. Another big man rumbling for the Saints.
2nd and 10 now at the 52-yard line. Approaching 3 minutes to go in this third quarter. Off the back foot, incomplete. And another player is down for Quinte.
Yeah, again, they sort of had the right play call. They're trying to set them up. They're bringing all the pressure. They're going to try to blitz. They're trying to dump off screen. Unfortunately, the timing is so far off because Fairbairn's been hit and on his back so many times that he can't find any rhythm on touch passes. And that looks like it's one of the offensive linemen, number 60, Etta Ekpenyong, who is down, and he immediately was reaching for one of his lower legs. It looked like his right knee, maybe.
Some more training staff moments now on the field. 75-0 the score here. And the main question mark is Quinte knowing what's coming up here. That's how it bounces back. We'll take a quick break. 75-0 the score. 3:14 to go in the third.
Good evening, sir. Where are you coming from?
I was just at a buddy's watching a game.
Have you consumed any alcohol tonight?
I had a couple beers. Thanks.
Can I ask you to step out of the vehicle, please?
How many drinks does it take to impair your ability to drive safely? Having even just a few casual drinks can impair your driving ability to the point that you could lose your license for at least 3 days or more.
Hi, honey. Can you come pick me up?
Play it safe with alcohol. If you plan on drinking, don't plan on driving.
Good evening, sir. Where are you coming from?
I was just at a buddy's watching a game.
Have you consumed any alcohol tonight?
I had a couple beers. Thanks.
Can I ask you to step out of the vehicle, please?
How many drinks does it take to impair your ability to drive safely? Having even just a few casual drinks can impair your driving ability to the point that you could lose your license for at least 3 days or more.
Hi, honey. Can you come pick me up?
Play it safe with alcohol. If you plan on drinking, don't plan on driving.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
75-0 the score. St. Clair over Quinte with 3:14 to go in the third quarter. Just Prince Padiquas with you as the cart now has been brought out for Acumen.
So he's the left guard right now, and we're going to see what happened there, and it went away from him. See, his foot just gave. His right foot just gave, and he immediately went to his right knee. And literally, he planted in the ground. The pressure came. It wasn't by any kind of force contact. That's, to me, more of a non-contact injury. His cleat got stuck. You have a big body, 280 pounds, and your foot grabs into the turf. Your ligaments oftentimes don't have that kind of elasticity. At some point, something's going to snap. And this is, to me, one of the bigger concerns when you're a young team and you don't have as much depth as you want. You can't afford too many injuries that are season-ending. The way he reacted and the way it looked like his right knee buckled tells me that it could very well be some sort of ACL, MCL, and maybe it's season-ending. Yeah, and you can see Coach Gabriel, he's the one holding onto the helmet with the clipboard call sheet draped from his neck, and his face tells it all. He's concerned for his player as they bring in the cart. So they're stabilizing the right leg, and you can just see the expression on his face. He knows something didn't feel right, and really by no serious contact point. It's not like somebody took his leg out. It's not like somebody hit him in the head or the neck. Foot just got stuck in the turf, and it definitely gave on him.
So as Acumen gets brought to the sideline here, 75-0 the score once more in this one. How do you try and play this out the rest of the way, knowing some of the attrition starting to build? And
again, it's the first game of the year. These players have to play. They have to be on the field. They got to get their bearings. You got to gain this valuable experience. And the punter gets a booming kickoff here, but you have to let all the players keep competing and playing, because you never know when it's going to pay off later in the season.
Big return, meanwhile, all the way down to nearly the 40-yard line.
Like, if you start playing scare, Justin, if you start thinking about, oh, we're going to get hurt, that's when you're going to get hurt. And, again, if I'm Coach Gabriel, I am emphasizing to my coaching staff, stay coaching like we're in this game. Emphasize the importance of good technique, good body position. Those are the things that are going to help prevent injury. Eyes up, see your target, wrap, tackle, be active with your feet. Don't be stagnant.
First and 10 to the 39-yard line. Clock rolling at under 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Daniel Mayu now back into the ball game. Rush forward, gets a couple yards, if that. That time on the ground, Jonathan Cartier.
And they tried a little counter play. And when you have a lot of your backups in and you're trying to do some of these counters, the timing is clearly going to be off, especially with your backups. You have Dan Mayu in. You have the seventh ball carrier, it looks like, already in the game. Compound that with the new lineman in there. The timing on a counter play without having run enough of them earlier with the other crew, it's going to be hard to perfectly execute.
2nd and 7. Mayu looking to throw out of the pressure, incomplete.
And this time, it was the Saints who were trying to set up a little bit of a screen. And I'll give a little bit of credit to Quinte there. That was number 54, and you're going to see here in the replay, that was the linebacker, Jacob Walters. You'll see him. He sniffed this one out. He saw the running back, and there he is. I'm going to peel off. He saw it, and he peeled off, and he got just in the vision of Dan Mayu. And Dan Mayu had to put it over his head, causing the incompletion. He read it just enough to influence the throw from the quarterback.
So that brings out special teams units once more.
And you see a happy sideline from the Saints as they're dancing with some of the stadium music.
Punts it off and away. Oh, and it hits one of the upmen for a flag. And how will this play out as more flags pop up?
Okay, so we got a flag in the kicking backfield. So there might have been a hold on the Saints. And then, Justin, I didn't see exactly who that hit, but it did hit a Quinte player, correct? The ball hit off one of the Quinte.
It looked like originally off a St. Clair player, in fact.
Okay, I got caught lost in the wash there. And if it did indeed hit a St. Clair player, then that's a no yards. And then a Quinte player just got a late hit. So we're going to see how this all cancels out. I know what it would be in the U.S. Offsetting, re-kick, move on. But in Canada, we got to apply 17 different rules for each one of these situations. So we'll let these refs figure out exactly what happened. But we had a penalty in the offensive backfield and the kicking backfield to start. So here we go.
Holding on the kicking team, number 44. No yard penalty on the kicking team, number 28. Unnecessary roughness on the receiving team, number 90. We're going to repeat third down.
Okay, so they're going to repeat third down, but what it's going to end up being is it's going to be a 10-yard penalty from the last punting situation. So the no yards, which was 15 yards, and the unnecessary roughness, which is 15 yards, cancel each other out in the net yardage. The original holding call is the one that's applied from the line of scrimmage, previous line of scrimmage. Back it up to 10 yards. It's going to be third down and 17 now rather than 3rd and 7, and the punting unit has to come back on.
So indeed, they'll re-punt with the minute 23 to go now in this third quarter. Just one return man back for Quinte. Check that, yes. Off and away goes the punt. Zipped around across the 45.
That looked like McDonald again. And a nice job aggressively attacking the punt in the air, catching it cleanly, and working his way into Saints territory. And maybe they can turn it into points.
You see Knight.
So the kick comes off a little shortish, but aggressively attacked by McDonald, and he right there has already picked up 10 yards, and now he's going to work his way up the sideline and pick up 3 more and set them up in the plus territory.
Going on the ground to start off this drive. Nowhere to go as that leads to a 2nd and long.
Again, a little sloppiness in the backfield. It's not a clean mesh. The running back seems to be bumping into the quarterback, which is, you can't, especially on an inside run, you have to press the hole with good timing. And when you're bumping into your quarterback in the backfield, it's going to create that delay, and your blockers aren't going to be able to hold this aggressive defense that long.
About a half a second difference, shot clock, or rather play clock and game clock. Throwing this time, 2nd down, intercepted. This time by Williams. Williams with a 2nd interception of this game. And that likely ends off the 3rd.
Yeah, and that is going to end that 3rd quarter, and ill-advised throw, severely underthrown. But, again, he's trying to do something.
75-0 the score. More coverage on We Digital coming up right after this.
The first kiss. She's thinking about a million things. Like, should I lean in or let him? Do I close my eyes or open them? But for him.
Welcome back as now we start things off for the 4th quarter, 75-0 St. Clair. Saints with the ball once again. Mayu handing things off. Off and away go the Saints on the ground immediately right out of the start of the quarter.
Yeah, MJ Doyle Marshall, and through the first level without any real contact, so these backups are in, but we do appear to be going backwards on what appears to be a holding call because that was deep in the offensive backfield, but we'll wait for the official call.
Holding on the offense, number 63, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Yeah, couldn't quite get the number there for you, but a big run negated by the penalty. I'd go right back to the same play, see if you can pick up a big chunk yardage again, allow the players on that side who might have been making the mistake to maybe rectify it.
So now 1st and long as a result of the penalty. Mayu with a back to his left. 3 in the motion. Hands it off this time. Not as big of a rush this time, but it does nearly get back to the original line of scrimmage.
And that's Tyson Green this time on the carry. Most dress rosters, you're going to find 5 or 6 running backs I think we have a dozen ball carriers in some capacity here today between the quarterbacks who've all touched the ball and all these running backs. Nice problem to have. We're going to take maybe a couple weeks, couple games to see who emerges as the lead back, because last year was clear. Jacob Savoni was that guy. This year might take a couple weeks to hash out who's the top back.
Mayu looking to pass second down. Trying to dart it to Rutherford. Rutherford incomplete. Can't hold on to it in the midst of traffic.
And Rutherford made a nice little adjustment to that slightly underthrown ball, and it drifted out to his outside. He actually clearly tracked the ball, turned his body in a great position, got his hands out to catch the ball. Unfortunately, could not reel it in.
So that brings back out the special teams units once more. And have to say, huge night for St. Clair. Start off this way in the new era with the alignment with the college. Big night for them to celebrate from the get-go here tonight, as that one goes out of bounds.
All right, first real bad kick in the punting game. Just push it off the side of his foot a little bit. I think the ball's going to be spotted right around midfield or so. So Quinte's going to have decent field position to try to break this shutout.
And we have the out-of-town score officially final. You mentioned it earlier, London picking up the victory over Ottawa, 42-14. Welcome back to the Sooners.
And as discussed with Dominic in the pregame, it's imperative the likes of Ottawa, the traditional teams, like when I played, Ottawa was one of the biggest rivalry games we found ourselves in. That travel down or them here was crazy, and it was very, very intense. Need Ottawa to be back at that level.
Incomplete on 1st and 10, meanwhile, is that. It's pretty tight. We can take a look at this.
Yeah, and Fairbairn was just being pulled down. You'll see hands on his shoulders when he's trying to throw. Yeah, you can't. You're hit on the shoulder. The ball's going to inevitably fall errant. Fortunately for Quinte, it wasn't intercepted, but that's just too much pressure. The young man is under tremendous heat. And mind you, virtually every single position on defense is a backup player right now.
Setting things up for second down. Approaching 4 minutes into this fourth quarter. Fairbairn forced to scramble. Trying to spin his way forward. See where the spot is. It's close to the sticks.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a couple yards short, but at least he's going to give his team a chance to go for it on a very reasonable down. It's going to be third down and maybe a yard. And again, the pressure comes inside, so Fairbairn is going to be on the move early. He decides, okay, I got to get out of here because I can't step up into this pocket. Containment was just not there from the Saints defense. So I'm going to try to get as many yards as possible, and at least he made it a very manageable 3rd and 1.
Going I formation here for the 3rd and 1 at the 50-yard line. Looking to try and hand off. Trying to push themselves forward in the scrum. Can't get there.
And they stopped them. So they got a turnover on downs. The Saints are going to get back on offense. My big problem with that play call is the defense is fresh and aggressive, and you're handing the ball off 5 yards deep when you only need a yard. You have to practice your wedge, your quarterback keep. You have to practice it. You can't emulate that in practice situations all that much because you never want to get your quarterback's hands in the middle of a scrum. So when you get a chance in a game to go for it on 3rd and 1 and you're not going to quarterback sneak it, I'd rather you try to stretch it and take a deep shot down the field. But you have to practice that 3rd and 1 wedge, that quarterback sneak, and they had an opportunity and they didn't execute.
Jason Nussum is now in the 4th quarterback for St. Clair as they rush on forward. So we're now to the 4th string of quarterbacks for the Saints.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to give him maybe a pass at some point in time. But it's going to be decision time. Coach is going to have to decide who's. I think they're going to stick with Brush. Brush has not done anything to necessarily lose the start, but all three quarterbacks who've played so far have proven more than capable.
Nazem getting that pass right now. Throwing into double coverage. And he got it.
Well, Justin, it was double coverage because there were two receivers there. So one receiver ran the wrong route. I'm pretty sure there should not have been two wide seam go routes where both players are literally 3 yards apart from each other at the point of high pointing it. And you're going to see both receivers are on top of each other. Now, the ball was indeed caught, and that looked like it was number 83, and that was Ethan Evele, and he came down with it, but something's wrong with that route design.
Either way, it works to make it 1st and 10 at the 25. And it back off and fumbled again. Nazem jumps on it, keeps it Saints ball.
All right, so I know one thing's for sure. Coach McCurdy's going to have a little bit of work to do because his running backs have put the ball on the ground 3 times already, and that one he just never had it. Now, is that a product of fourth-string quarterback not getting very many reps with any of the running backs? Quite possibly, because in practice you don't have enough time to get your third-string quarterback enough reps, let alone your fourth-string guy. So there's some mesh point issues there because he never had a handle of it off the get-go, but definitely have some ball handling things to secure to make sure you don't do that in a game where it's going to matter. At 75-0, that doesn't necessarily matter.
2nd and 12 at the 27. Nazem throwing quick left, complete to the sideline. Not enough to move the chains, but it is enough to get closer to it. Alex Stewart.
Yeah, and at this point in time, listen, it's a little slow moving to get it out there, but he throws a little wide receiver hitch, and you got to expect your receiver to make one guy miss. And he did, in essence, make one guy miss, and he brought him in a situation where it's 3rd down and 3. I don't think they need to be practicing a short field goal or an extra point. Let this group try to execute their short yardage offense. Go for it. I don't think they're trying to run it up. They're just trying to execute with a lot of these backups on the field.
So Nazem going I formation. Handing it off. Trying to spin forward. Not able to progress forward.
And that's a good job by the interior of the Quinte defense, who hold and do not give up the 1st down. And now you're going to see Quinte take over, and we'll see if they make another quarterback change and maybe bring in it was Stevens, I believe, Carter Stevens. I'm not sure if he's going to get some crack late in the 4th quarter because Fairbairn's been pushed and beat up around, and indeed that is the case.
So Stevens into the game as Quinte looks to try and break the shutout some way, somehow.
The thing that stood out to me the most so far when I'm looking at the field of play and then the sidelines is the sheer size across the board of this St. Clair team. They are massive. They are extremely big. I can't remember the last time a team was this big here with St. Clair. And I mean, I think they had a dozen 300-pounders, and not big slob type 300. I mean, 6'4", 6'5", big bodies, and on the offensive and the defensive line. So that's going to be something that if they have that much depth of big bodies, man, that defense could be ferocious as the season goes on. And that offensive line, if they gel with that size, could be just a steamrolling machine.
Yeah, some of the recruits seen coming in 6'7", 6'8", in some cases offensive line for reference, as Stevens incomplete.
Yeah, and it looked like the receiver number 6, Lever, was looking for a hold of some sort. And Actually, it was number 5, Jacob Hosford, and he might have made an argument there. It looked like I saw a little tug of a shirt, but nonetheless, it turns out to be an incomplete pass, and Quinte's going to have to punt.
Special teams units coming back onto the field, and this has been the song and dance, it seems, all throughout the night.
Well, the only thing they need to do, and I'm pretty sure the special teams units, which a lot of the times you don't get backups in on these initial units, especially early in the season, because you got to get the good tape to see if they're doing it right. But you got some fresh return men in the game. The starters haven't been in, and the only thing they have to do is to put that cherry on top is find an end zone run from one of your return men, because they've scored on offense and on defense, and if they can tie one in here, you know the special teams coaches are going to be happy.
Off and away goes the punt. Oh, and this time botched on the return. St. Clair does jump on top of it, but it was botched initially. Tristan Rutherford picking up the return credit.
Rutherford, fortunately for him, he was able to jump back on it, but Rutherford was trying to call one of the upbacks off and didn't pay attention. You'll see here on the replay, Rutherford's working his way up towards the ball, and 27's just in his way. And all of a sudden it falls between them. So there has to be some communication. Most teams will have some sort of code word where they'll say, hey, short, 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 and that means the upbacks know to vacate and give the return man just a little bit of room. So that's something they'll be able to look on film and work out.
Down to the final 5 minutes or so in this one. Nussum hands it off. Another run up the seam. Another rush forward. Another rush inside the 30-yard line from St. Clair.
Yeah, and this is where the big boys get to be on the field and maybe have a little bit of fun. Again, large. These are all backups, and they're still pushing the pile a little bit. And untouched through the force unit there. Ball's still out there a little bit. I can see the back point of it, and you never want to see that back end of that ball. Got to tuck that away, young man.
It's the exact same one player who fumbled it earlier, remember, Tiskevich. High formation now for 1st and 10. Nussum working. Bullet pass. End zone. Caught. Touchdown. St. Clair yet again.
Alex Stewart with the catch.
And what can you say? When you're hot on the scoreboard, you're hot on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a bind. You're running the ball for 12, 13, 14 yards a carry. If you run it 2 more times, you're probably going to find the end zone. But you got a kid, you got receivers on the field that, as you get deeper into the season, aren't probably going to see a lot of downs unless there's an injury. And the quarterback's only thrown a couple passes, but he's going to come out and he's going to give it a crack. And sure enough, he got out there and delivered a strike. I got to figure that we're getting close. I'm not sure when the last time I saw a number in the 80s. But we're there.
Let's take a look at the replay.
A good throw and a super catch. Actually, a great throw in a spot where it's over his left shoulder, where he knows he's the only one who can catch it. A nice slide adjust and gets his hands away from the body. Textbook catch. Great route. Real good throw.
So it's 82-0. St. Clair over Quinte. And an unreal night for the Saints.
Yeah, unreal night because you got all 4 quarterbacks finding the end zone. I don't know, eight different scorers, I believe. I was trying to keep a running total in my head. It could be more, but the bottom line is they have reloaded.
Meanwhile, on the return, Quinte trying to regroup after the initial drop. Lever able to get it to nearly the 20-yard line.
Yeah, because if you take the touchdowns that Holmes had last year and Jacob Savoni had last year, that's the majority of the scores. They have not missed a beat. Yes, that first quarter was a little slow, but boy, once they found their groove, they have remained in it for the rest of this game.
It's been an incredible clip, to say the very least. 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Stevens. Shovel passes it away. Able to pick up a few yards. Make it second and about 4. Make it 6, rather.
Yeah, and it looked like Carter Stevens got hit pretty hard on that quick little, and I say quick little pass because that was by design a little swing pass, and he got hit immediately. Both quarterbacks are going to be feeling this bus ride home tonight. I'm assuming they're heading home tonight unless maybe they stay, but I'm getting word that they are heading home tonight. That's a long ride home, and they're going to be a little beat up after this game.
Stevens looking to scramble this time. Throws the motion, and the ball dropped and, if anything, spiked on the catch attempt. Coming up towards 3 minutes to go in this fourth quarter.
Well, hopefully, Justin, next week with Hamilton coming in, we get to call 4 quarters of a game, and we get to see a battle. I really would like to see this St. Clair team in a game right to the end. The last time we saw it was obviously that OFC final last year, and they lost. They need to know what it's like going into the fourth quarter of a game, going into the last 5 minutes of a game, where the nerves, the anxiety, the sort of pressure is on their shoulders. They got to fight through that so that what happened last year never happens again. Because very relaxed, very happy on the sideline. Coaches need that as well. Coaches need to feel the pressure, the stress level going up, where it's not always smelling like roses.
Especially in the Rose City, absolutely. Punts it off and away yet again. And this time botched on the reception. And it looks like Quinte
Tristan
might be on it.
Rutherford got it right in the bread basket, and there was a hole in that basket. You'll see him come up under it. He set, and it went right through his wickets and recovered by Quinte. And it did not look like there was any interference from his own man. He just mishandled that ball, and another turnover. So, again, things to clean up. You don't want to indict the young man for just the one play, but something they'll just have to get reps at and more practice, because Tristan Rutherford has proven to be pretty good in the return game. So if he's going to actually have to get that call to duty later in the season, if, let's say, a Dante Lewis does get hurt, they know they have somebody who can handle the ball.
Inside the 3-minute warning. Starting things off on the ground. Rush forward for a gain of about 5.
Yeah, pretty good collision there. Pretty good collision there inside. You'll see here on the replay, just a straight inside run, and you'll see a fill from a linebacker, squared him up, wrapped him up. So nice run, nice tackle, good physical play.
2nd and 4, the ruling on the field at the 53-yard line. Stevens toss play. Raynette able to get enough for a first down, and it's a rare first down on the ground for Quinte.
Yep. And again, not that you're worried about the score of the game right now. Coaches need to call the plays that they think are going to find the end zone and find moving the sticks. It's important. Yes, you're in a blowout. Yes, the Saints have backups in. You might even have some backups in. But you got to find something to see on film to work out, to make it look good, and to build off of.
Staying on the ground this time. Raynette picks up a gain of a couple, makes it 2nd and 8.
Yeah, weird design there because they hand the ball off and Ringette stays to his right, yet the action from the offensive lineman, they pull 2 guys to the left. I think he was supposed to jab and work back following his lineman, and he ran into where the down blocks were coming. Just looked a little bit off there in terms of its design, or at least its execution.
4 in the motion this time. Stevens forced to throw, going long. Incomplete.
That's a great job by both defensive backs there. They stacked up the receiver. You literally run to the spot and cut him off. There's no interference. They can trip on you all they want. But that is a fantastic. Stephen Gannett, and it looked like that was number 28, and that would have been Nick Bieni. And both of them ran and converged and ran right in front of the receiver and stacked him, and the receiver had no chance on the ball. I love that kind of run through.
Looks like they'll keep Carter Stevens on for one more offensive snap, potentially in this game. Stevens throwing to his left, way off, incomplete.
Yeah, and it looked like it might have been batted by number 90, and that would be Nico Hurcan. And that's going to be it. And here's what we got coming up, Justin.
The Hamilton Hurricanes coming into town next week to take on the St. Clair Saints. That taking place at approximately 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch that here on We Digital on August the 20th. Again, 1 week's time away here from Acumen Stadium.
And don't forget to put in your resumes and get it. Like, you come after my job. We need some play, some color commentary, some videographers. We need everything. So come get it. You enjoy it, contact We Digital and put your resumes in.
As mentioned before, it's the time. Time to run down the clock. St. Clair starts off with running the ball on the ground. Cartier gaining a couple on the play. And St. Clair, 40 seconds away from going 1-0 on the season in dominating fashion. Quinte 0-1.
And it looked like the head referee has blown this in, and he already waved his orange flag calling it. I don't even think they need to take a knee because he already indicated that the game is effectively over. There he is doing it once again. So they're just going to run this down. And I much prefer this. This is more like the U.S. Why take that last snap? You know what it's going to be? Game's going to be over, Justin.
And with that, the St. Clair Saints start off the season 1-0, 82-0 the final over the Quinte Skyhawks, securing the shutout. I'd like to thank you once again for tuning in for tonight's action here on We Digital Productions. For my co-announcer, Badi Quans, for Dominic Popham, Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Hope to see you the next time out when the Hamilton Hurricanes come into town 1 week's time away at 7 p.m. Eastern Time here on We Digital. Good night, everybody.